episode 3 of Off the Shelf Reviews podcast.
Yes!
I'm Gary.
And I'm Ian.
And today we've got a special guest here. We've got Dave. Dave, you've been on a couple of reviews with us in the past?
Yes, a few. Not for a very long time, but...
Yeah, I know. It kind of, the timings of our recordings and of guests is just conflicted so many times now that it's just been me and Ian for like the last year.
The weird thing was, I was actually looking through some of our old videos, and obviously I remembered you were in Dead or Alive, and you were in Project A, and then I came across Prince of Darkness, and I realised you were in that as well, and I was just like, fuck, how did I completely forget you were in Prince of Darkness?
I am the Prince of Darkness.
We've been wanting to get you in for a review of Battle Royale for like 2 years now.
Yeah.
We've been trying to align up the time, and then instead we get you around for the podcast.
Well,
So-
it's a pleasure to be in this amazing, fancy recording studio. But, I mean, it's a bit off-putting with your producer through the window there, staring at me, just shaking his head.
We have a
while I
producer?
Yeah,
Fuck!
it's Jeff when we can actually pay him.
We pay him?
So, in this podcast, we are going to talk about what we've recently been playing, what
Yeah.
we've recently been watching. We're going to go and talk about some film news, some video game news, if there is any.
Yep.
The topic of this episode is, this being episode 3, is actually going to be on trilogies.
Yes.
Primarily film trilogies.
Yep,
And we'll end the podcast with questions from our viewers.
As we normally do.
So I'll begin by just saying that over the last couple of weeks, since the last time we recorded the podcast,
Yeah.
I have actually watched very, very little of anything.
Yeah.
Walking Dead has started. I've not watched any of that yet. I'm actually going to save all that up and watch it.
I've been doing the same. I've
binge
banked
watch
mine.
it.
I've just been so busy with stuff. It's just all of a sudden the episodes have been coming out, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'll get round to it. Fuck it, I'll get round to it. And I'm just letting it bank up now.
Yeah, so Black Sails. I watched the first episode, and it was a little bit anticlimactic after waiting a whole year after the last season. But then I was like, I know it's still going to be great. It's the last season. It's all building up to Treasure Island. So again, I'm banking that up. But
Yeah.
what I did have a hankering to watch was The Pacific.
Yeah.
This was HBO's World War II series with America and the war against Japan.
Yes.
And the first time it came out, I was a huge fan of Band of Brothers. I thought that show was amazing. Coming on the back of Saving Private Ryan,
Yeah.
it really told the story of World War II from
Yeah.
so many perspectives. And I always almost wept at the end of every episode when you had the actual soldiers sat there talking to the camera in an interview. Amazing.
Yeah, it was.
I only just watched both of those series just last year
Okay.
for the first time, and they still hold up. Especially Band of Brothers, it's still...
Band of Brothers, I've watched it through maybe 3 times. I'm so moved by it, and just, I was a big fan of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And, so you just have that into contrast and just go, this is what it was really, really like.
The thing that threw me off about Band of Brothers is when you see David Schwimmer in it.
Yeah.
And you and literally you're just like, he's a fucking asshole in this. And then all of a sudden you find like an old episode of Friends on Comedy Central, and you're like, is that the same dude? You realise he can still act.
Yeah, I always thought he was like a big part of the series, but he's like...
He's only in the
Maybe
first
in
episode, and then he has like a
tiny
small
piece.
part. Yeah,
Later on.
But when The Pacific first came out, I only got about 3 episodes into it, and I stopped watching it. I didn't care for it. I was like, I don't know what they're doing with the storytelling. I don't know whether they just...
Yeah.
But then I found that with almost every Pacific World War movie between America and Japan, they never seem to be as good as the European World War II movies.
Right.
That were set in Europe.
Yeah.
It just seems like films where we're blowing away Nazis sells to an audience a hell of a lot better than killing the Japanese.
Well,
I don't know how it is, but even in video game form, it's that way.
Racism!
Well, I
No,
think
not
it's
at
the
all.
thing,
It's just
like,
an observation.
with history of like being in the UK, I don't think we get taught a lot of sort of that side of the conflict. It was always...
But we know
sort of-
all about the Vietnam War.
Yeah, but I think because our role in the First and Second World War was so major, we mainly focused on the European side. And,
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
so.
And it's
yeah.
always like, oh, and then the Americans came over.
And they won the war.
Yeah.
So rewatching The Pacific, I've still got the very last episode to watch. I binge watched it in 2 days so far, and was just gobsmacked. I realised why I wanted to see the battle scenes. I wanted to see the war.
Yeah.
But I soon realised with The Pacific that I wasn't watching it to see who died and how they died and how grisly it was.
Yeah.
I was watching who survived and how they didn't really.
Yeah.
Because of
yeah.
the mental scars, because of the physical scars, the
Yeah.
damage that is done, just them falling apart, these troopers committing suicide in the middle of these horrible, horrible islands. And it was just horrible.
Well,
and the acting was so good.
Yeah, that's the change, isn't it? You know, like what you said, you've got Britain versus Germany. You know, it was literally trench warfare, firing across at each other, taking each other out with big tanks and big guns. The Americans, they get attacked in Pearl Harbor. They head over to Japan, but the Japanese, it's all honor based, and it's just like, well, okay, I've got to take out a whole platoon. I'm going to slap some bombs to my chest, and I'm going to run in and, you know, kamikaze. And that can really fuck a soldier's mind up because they think they're setting up for a normal battle, and instead
the Japanese were they had no surrender. You know, the policy of no surrender on those islands, and when they ran out of ammo, they ran at the American forces with bayonets and swords.
Yes.
And it was and
isn't there a scene where they like strap bombs to like civilians and
there's a
send them down
woman
a hill?
who's trying to pass her child to the Marines.
Yeah.
And the Marines like, no ma'am, we don't want your child. And then she's like, you know, you can't understand it, but she's like, take my baby. And then it reveals she's wearing explosives, and before you know it, her, the baby, and all the Marines next to her are all gone. There's just chunks flying everywhere.
Savage.
It's so often you just see soldiers running across the battlefield, and then they are just red mist as a mortar has just landed right beside them. You you see a boot fly off, and the rest is just mist. So they did get the battle scenes that hit you in the gut, but it was the after battles, before battles, were almost worse for you as an audience watching because of the psychological damage that was done to all those troops. It's just so it was just breathtaking.
It kind of makes me think, like, I've said this before. For me, Letters from Iwo Jima is an amazing movie where Flags of Our Fathers just doesn't stand up so much.
Yeah.
But you know, when you see all the battles in Letters from Iwo Jima, where the Japanese soldiers are like, right, slap these bombs on your chest and get out there. But you see the looks on the Japanese forces' faces, like, hang on a minute, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
You know, but. Well, I mean, I haven't got around to watching the Pacific yet, but you can kind of see it where these soldiers are kind of honor bound, like you said. You know, there is no surrender. You cannot go home and dishonor your family lineage. So, yeah, slap a bomb to your chest and fuck off.
Yeah. Well, speaking of slamming bombs to your chest and fucking off, I've been playing Bloodborne. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I'm not the biggest PlayStation fan. I came from a PlayStation before I went to the Xbox, but I just cannot play with the PlayStation controller anymore. I get hand cramp in my thumbs. I do. But I got hold of a PS4 and I got Bloodborne. Because, as you know, I've played all the Souls games. I end up talking about Souls when I'm talking about something else. It just that's how much I played the Souls games. So I was like, right, I need something else. I need Bloodborne. You know, I've heard so many good things about it, and I hit a wall like I never expected. I started Bloodborne and I was like, I platinumed every Dark Souls game. New game plussed it. I PvP'd it. You know, whatever. Let's do Bloodborne. And it took me 6 hours to do the first area. I died a lot. I got frustrated and I didn't throw the controller.
Oh, that's good.
But I put it down and stormed out. I stormed out of my own room.
Yeah, you should try that. Put the controller down and throw yourself up.
Yes. So I took the damage, thumping my thigh as I failed again and again and again in frustration. Like, how the fuck can I not do this? But I persevered.
Yeah.
And I put the game down, like, fuck it, I'm done for today. Next day, I'm going to pick it up and try it again. And I made progress and killed a boss.
Yeah.
And killed another boss. And then I managed to find out how to do co-op and then got people to come in and help me kill more bosses.
Nice.
And then I was exploring again and I was like, wow, this game is amazing. But I was mainly enjoying it with a friend. The same friend who I'd done Dark Souls 3 and 2 with.
Yeah.
We went backwards. But the PlayStation Network just failed us. Every time we tried to connect with each other, we spent hours trying to get into each other's games using the password matchmaking system, and the PlayStation Network failed us again and again and again. In literally about 6 hours of trying to connect, we may be connected 4 times.
Ouch.
But then, as you know, if one of you dies,
Yeah.
you're out, and then you've got to try and connect to that person again. We tried everything, and so it really sullied my experience so much that I've retired Bloodborne. And I was like, you know what? As much fun as I had with it, it's not Dark Souls.
Yeah.
It's not the type of game Dark Souls is. It's a different type of game. It's a different beast. I fully recommend it.
Yeah.
But I've washed my hands with it, unfortunately.
You've shunned it and
I've
forced
shunned
it into
it
the
away,
corner.
and I've gone straight back to the Xbox playing Halo Wars. And the review for that should actually be up yesterday, after this goes up.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll be reviewing that next week. So, Ian, you've been watching anything, playing anything?
Well, I mean, apart from work and editing, I finally finished Dishonored 2. I managed to get 3 playthroughs out of that. I got my first playthrough where I got most of the story done and really enjoyed that. My second playthrough was just fucking kill everything, and because you could new game plus it, I took all the runes that I'd procured in the first playthrough, powered myself up, and then just literally walked through my second playthrough, killing absolutely everything in my path. Nothing. I didn't save anybody. I'd see a civilian, hey Mr. Civilian, rob you, stab you, right? Move on to the next thing. And then I got my third playthrough where I actually played as Emily, because I played as Corvo for the other 2. And I did a no power, non-spot, non-lethal playthrough with her, and it was... I love the Dishonored series, especially when you don't use your powers. The level design in those games is amazing because you can miss so much stuff if you just fly through it. You know?
Yeah.
But then when you take away the powers and you've really got to use your mind to get past all the enemies and you've got to tactically think, the quick save feature works very well. I'd take out a guy, move his body, quick save it. Move on to the next guy, take him out, quick save it. Then check the stats, make sure I haven't been spotted, and make my way through all the levels. I did that. It was absolutely brilliant, and I can highly, highly recommend if anybody gets the chance. Both Dishonored games are well worth it. I finally got round to watching Ash vs Evil Dead Season 2. Finally. You know, I first...
Now, I could not believe that Nobi.
Yeah,
was,
Nicholas Hope was Nobi.
After Bad Boy Bubby.
Yeah. I text you. I sent him
know.
a message because I saw Professor Nobi and I was like, I know your face. So I searched the internet, realised it was Nicholas Hope, and then text Gary saying, dude, we just watched Bad Boy Bubby. Nicholas Hope is Nobi. He's like, fuck off. I'm like, no, seriously. He's only in it for like 2 episodes, but he's in it. And
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the whole time travel stuff. I loved Ash going back to his hometown.
I loved
the
having the
with
sister.
the sister coming back, you know, coming across... what's the bitch in the basement called again? Henrietta, you know.
Someone's in my fruit cellar.
Yeah, Ted Raimi again. The effects on them were absolutely brilliant. It was nice to see Ash's sister put on the makeup again and look exactly like she did in Evil Dead 1. But if you know the history of Evil Dead 1, now she looks a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
You know? The contact lenses probably won't blind her. The makeup isn't fucking a painful as hell. And she probably got paid.
Yes, yeah.
She probably got paid for this one. I'm still continuing my Hawaii 5-0. I know
God.
Gary can't stand it,
damn
but
it.
I love my Hawaii 5-0. A couple of episodes ago, there was this whole Die Hard sequence where Dano had taken his daughter to a prom and a bunch of terrorists had turned up to kidnap one of the kids. It's just so fun.
Dave,
It's just so fun.
what have you been up to?
I've not been on, the greatest Hawaii marathon, but TV seasons just kick back in, and
Yes, yeah.
I try to keep up with everything, so like I don't build it up. Like, so my schedule's like Monday it's Walking Dead,
Yeah.
it's Comic Book Men. Tuesday it's Supergirl. Wednesday it's Flash, DC Legends of Tomorrow. Thursday it's Arrow. Friday now it's Powerless.
Damn.
Riverdale.
I know there are so many that's a lot of superhero shows.
That's a
you
lot of
can mention
superhero
there.
shit there.
And I tried watching Arrow. I got halfway through the first season. I told it got much better in the second and third seasons. I was told to watch Flash because that was really good. I had some really good standalone episodes, and it
Yeah.
crossed with Green Arrow and
Now Supergirl.
now Supergirl, and so Netflix is building up their collection of heroes with Daredevil and
Iron Fist is
Iron
coming
Fist
out
is just
soon.
doing them right. And
Luke Cage seems to have taken a big
that's the only
drop.
one I haven't watched.
I
so
haven't
far.
watched it. I had it since it came out, but I was like, I just don't want to watch
I had a
it.
friend who was just so excited about it, especially when I saw the trailer, where he's walking into the gang building and they all shooting him and he beats the fuck out of them all. And so I was expecting, you're like, with Daredevil, oh my God, I'm 4 episodes in and it's absolutely brilliant. But he just stopped talking about it. And I took that as a bad sign.
Well, I had that with Jessica Jones. I loved Daredevil. I blitzed that in a day. I
Yeah.
could not stop watching Daredevil. Jessica Jones, I started and then watched it over the course of a couple more weeks, and then just felt flat for Luke Cage. But I loved Daredevil season 2 again, though. That for me is the one show on Netflix.
Would you say you went into Daredevil a bit blind?
Yeah, you could say that.
What I found with most of those series is it could do with maybe 1 or 2 less episodes. I find it kind of meanders in the middle, and
Yes, yeah, maybe just
especially
a little
with
bit.
Jessica Jones, I was like,
Massively, but it really picked up towards the end of that second season.
I mean, it had probably the best bad guy in all Marvel properties, I've said.
He was great. He was really good.
It was very clever done.
And see, the only thing for me, I mean, I know I'm a big superhero fan myself, but I can't get into these shows because I'm like, it's the hero. Every bad situation they're going to get into, they're going to get out of.
Yeah, but you want to find out how.
Yeah, but
that's
but
why you watch it.
Yeah, but for me, I'm like, well, it's kind of like going back and watching the 1960s Batman series. Tune in next week to see if Jessica Jones gets out of this. Same bat time, same bat channel. I know she's going to get out of it. It's fucking Jessica Jones,
It's how she does
yeah,
it.
it's like my favourite out of all of them is The Flash. And
Okay.
with Barry Allen, he keeps going, like, messing up time. He's like, well, I want to change this for me. And he ends up messing up everything.
He literally steps out the door and goes back in time.
Yeah, and, like, he's, like, affected the lives of all people, even in people in Arrows, like, changed their past. And, like, so it does continue on. Instead of him just saving the day, he's, like, messing up royally every time. And just making things worse, and he's just trying to fix his problem and the things he's caused.
See, am I right? The guy who's playing Flash in the TV series is not playing Flash in Justice League.
No, none of
it's a
them
bit
are.
of a laugh.
It's a separate universe.
Yo, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, that's the
That's-
DC
that's-
has both DC and Marvel both have multiverses.
Yeah, I get the fact that they've got multiverses, but it's like, okay, so you've established this guy as the Flash.
Yeah.
He's at what season are you on for Flash? Season 2, season 3?
3 or 4? 4. 4?
So he's got the season 4 and he's established as the Flash. So he's a good actor, he's keeping the series alive, just fucking transfer him. Why do you have to pay somebody extra money just to do a job that you've already got somebody doing?
It's what, like Kevin Smith says, in Hollywood, it's like, you've got Hollywood and you've got the TV world, and they don't mix.
They
the big
really
heads in
don't.
Hollywood's like, that's TV land.
Yeah.
No, we gotta have
even
movie
Marvel, but then again, the TV shows of DC it seemed to be a hell of a lot more successful than their film projects.
Yes, that's
So
what I find.
I think contaminating the TV world would just with the film world, it just fall apart.
That's what I think is kind of freaky. The DC TV series seem to be doing really well, but the films aren't doing as good as the Marvel films. The Marvel films doing really, really well, but the Marvel TV shows, not so much.
Yeah.
No.
So, any of you watching Riverdale? Talk about comic properties?
No.
I never even heard of it.
No, it's based in like the Archie comics world.
Okay.
You know, like Archie, Jughead,
Yeah.
Veronica. But it's
It's
kind of this wholesome Archie world, you know, where they go to the diner and they have milkshakes and it's like, oh, will you choose Veronica or...
yeah.
But in this, it's kind of like that meets kind of like Twin Peaks dark atmosphere, and it's actually very good. Like the first episode I watched, and it's very like, you know, teen high school, and you got your football team, and it's just like.
So it's like Happy Days crossed with Twin Peaks.
Yeah, but it's just like lots
That
of.
shouldn't work.
Yeah, I know, but that's how I always looked at Archie as
Yeah.
kind of Happy Days.
Well,
know,
then he
the
did
1950s kind of era, you know, driving around in their cars, you know, being all, you know, young teens. Hey, let's go and smoke some marijuana, you know.
Well, the comics got quite dark later on. I mean, he met the Predator. Archie meets the Predator. And then it was Archie Afterlife, where it was the Riverdale gets taken over by zombies. And
Right. Okay, yeah.
But yeah,
What's the show called? Riverdale.
Riverdale,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to put this on my to look at list.
Yeah, it's about 4 episodes in, so
Okay.
you can be on the ground floor.
Yeah.
As for films, I just watched Doctor Strange.
Okay, and your thoughts?
This is the first Marvel film I didn't watch in the cinema,
Okay.
as my interest has been waning really bad.
Mine too. Mine actually picked up though with Doctor Strange. I was getting I was losing interest in the Marvel movies, especially after Civil War Part 2.
Yeah.
Or Part 1. Yeah. I don't know. There's so many titles and I get them mixed up. But yeah, after that one, that was when I was like, I'm done. I'm getting tired now. You know, Spider-Man looks interesting, but yeah. And but Doctor Strange, I loved it. But then again, I said in the last podcast with Cumberbatch, I didn't really like him, and then really, really like him, and so I just kind of loved Doctor Strange, loved his performance in that.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't got around to watching Doctor Strange yet. It came out in the cinema, and I'm just like, with all my Marvel films, I always just wait until they come out on DVD so I can watch them in comfort of my own home.
After you wiki them.
After I wiki them, I always
yeah.
wiki all my shit.
Yeah.
But I kind of love the fact that it's all building up to Thanos turning up
Yes.
to get the Infinity Stones, and the Infinity Stones are being put in the most kind of stupidest places. I mean, we've got one in the middle of Vision's head where I'm like, well, that's fucking coming out. You know, you got one.
Well,
Spoilers. One in the amulet for Doctor Strange, and I'm like, well, that's fucking coming out. You know.
Well, before we get into the news section, then how about predictions for which of the Marvel characters we think will die in the war that's coming against Thanos?
Oh, well,
who's your prediction?
Well, easy. Well, I mean, we saw the Vision in was it Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
You know, where they were all dead.
Well, yeah.
You know, they were all dead. But I predict that Thanos is going to come down. He's going to get hold of all the stones. He's going to fucking pretty much rape everything, destroy half the planet. You know, because he's a god.
Yeah.
You know, he's a titan. Every time you read it in the comic books or the cartoon series, you know, every time the Avengers go up against them, he beats the crap out of them, and then they come up with some really obscure plan to get the glove off him, give him a bit of a beating, and throw him back to the end of the universe.
Yeah.
But I reckon, like, most of them will die.
Cinematic universe.
Most of them will die, and then somebody will get hold of the Time Stone, you know, and go back and warn them of what Thanos is going to be able to do, so then everybody will stay alive.
Yeah, but you reckon everyone will still be alive?
The only person I think they'll actually properly kill off would probably be Captain America, because he has died in the comic book.
Yeah, see,
but then they do
prediction.
like to stem away from that, so they could kill off Iron Man.
My prediction is Iron Man. I reckon Robert Downey Jr. is kind of done
Yeah,
with the Marvel universe, and I reckon I reckon Marvel don't want to kill Iron Man, but I reckon Robert Downey Jr. wants out of Iron Man. But I don't know, in the comic book universe, there isn't another Tony Stark. There isn't anyone who becomes Iron Man, whereas other people become Captain America.
Well, I think in the current comics, Iron Man's now a woman. I think
Okay,
they
was
have
Thor a woman as well?
Yeah.
Thor is a woman. They've killed off Bruce Banner as well.
Really?
They
Okay.
killed off Bruce Banner, and I mean, Iron Man stopped being. Oh, Tony Stark stopped being Iron Man for a bit, and Norman Osborn became the Iron Patriot.
Right.
And he took up the suit, but he was too corrupt.
Yeah.
You know. One thing I do want to ask Dave, though, because I know he's the biggest fan as I am, talking about deaths. Have you seen the most recent episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
No.
Oh,
I'm about a few episodes behind.
Oh man, I almost cried. I
know they keep trying to kill Splinter off. Like, he died at the end of one season, and then
they brought him back.
And then I think the last episode I watched, he was like thought dead again. Like, he got dragged down somewhere, or
He fell down to the bottom of the pit, and he managed to come back. Oh,
that's the last one. I watched.
Oh man,
How can we still be moved by a cartoon that's for children?
Because me and Dave, we've been watching it for what is it, 4 seasons now?
I think so.
4 seasons, and I mean, I didn't think I'd get into it, but the movie references, the game references, and the references to old cartoon series
And the comic books as well.
and the comic books was just sublime. It was just worked so easily. I mean, they fought Shredder at one point in the city, just like they did in the film, the first film. They went off to the country, just like they did in the film. And then there was like half a season with them out in the country, training again to come back. But there was actually an episode there where there were mutant wombos or hamsters in their nightmares. And one of them was voiced by Robert Englund. There was a guy who had come across these mutant wombo things, voiced by Sid Haig. Some mutagen stuff got into a plant, and that plant became like a Jason Voorhees character. That's messed up. The last episode I watched, the turtles chased like Razor and Fish Legs to an abandoned amusement park, which they'd gone to before in a couple of other episodes. And Bebop, he's invisible. He's got a cloaking suit, and he's doing the line from the Warriors. He's like, "Turtles, come out to play, yay!" And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is fucking awesome!"
Oh wow!
It is a love letter to cinema. It's just so many references, like, and even like hundreds of voices from like Bill Hader to Ron Perlman.
Yeah, Ron Perlman's been in it. I mean, they changed Leonardo from the main guy to Seth Green.
Yeah, it was American Pie fucker, Jason Biggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a bit weird at first, hearing
You had to go to the
Seth
American
Green.
Pie.
Yeah, the Pie Fucker.
Pie fucker.
It was weird hearing Seth Green's voice, but the longer it's been going, the easier it's kind of adapted, and I'm just like, yeah, it's Seth Green now.
Yeah. Wow, I always kind of bookended Turtles. I loved watching it as a kid growing up, but then moved away from it, and then they did a couple of those movies where they sort of jumped the universes or parallel universes and had all the
Turtles
different
Forever.
Turtles.
That was a brilliant
Turtles
movie.
Forever. So I always watched those to like see the original Turtles just mingle with the new ones, but I never really followed any of the new ones. But from what you've just described, I think I need to go and watch some more Turtles.
The new series, I mean, they cover everything. It's absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so let's get into the news section.
Yes.
Now, I didn't have too many trailers to discuss this podcast.
Okay.
But there was one which was sort of like a preview, like a teaser.
Yeah.
And everyone knows we're big fans of Stephen King.
Yes.
And somewhat fans of J.J. Abrams. Somewhat. Yeah, I like a lot more of his TV projects than maybe his film projects.
Yeah.
But he's working with Stephen King again.
Yeah.
And they are working on a TV series called Castle Rock.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that.
You saw the trailer for that. Now, I don't know if you're a big fan of King, you know that Castle Rock is basically another part of Maine.
Yeah.
And Castle Rock has been mentioned in, I don't know, about a third of King's books and other media. And so this is an anthology series. So I think each episode is just going to be another story.
Yeah, I got that from the trailer because you had those little kind of blips appear, and
you heard Pennywise the Clown.
Yeah.
And you heard her from Misery.
Yeah.
And Shawshank Redemption.
And The Shining as well.
Yeah,
I'm hearing
all these-
voices.
Yeah,
Red
all
Rum.
all these things take place in Maine. And of course, if you've read the Dark Tower series, you know how pretty much the whole of Stephen King's universe is all interconnected. And so and we know that the Dark Tower production is in production.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, this is great. This is great. I just hope it all ties in somehow together. So I'm really excited by Castle Rock.
Yeah.
You just recently watched Suicide Squad, Ian.
Yes.
Do you know who has been tentatively picked up as the director for the second film?
No.
Mel Gibson.
What the
Mel Gibson's in talks right now with Warner Brothers in DC to do Suicide Squad 2.
So strange. I mean, he was recently interviewed and said he hated superhero films.
Yeah.
So,
But didn't he just appear in wasn't he in Machete 2?
He was in Machete 2, yeah.
Which is, I consider that a superhero
face.
movie.
Yeah. See, Suicide Squad, the first one, it was slow to get into at first. But once all the characters have been established, and they get into the helicopter and they go flying on that little mission, what made it stand out for me was each of the characters. You know, I didn't have to sit there and just go like with Batman vs Superman. You sit there and you go, well, I know fucking Superman's gonna fucking save the day. He's Superman. In this one, I was there like, well, fucking, you know, Harley Quinn's gonna betray them. How's Deadshot gonna work with that? You know, finding out that Captain Boomerang was such a filthy mouthed git, but then he was kind of one of the funniest characters. I even liked Killer Croc. For as little part as he had, he looked really nice and was kind of like this tortured character of this. That was his life, you know. He had nothing else. The Mexican guy who played Diablo, I really liked his backstory as well with his family, and so it all kind of worked together as the film went on. The only issue I have with that film is that before it was released, it was all about fucking Harley Quinn. You know, how she looks, the tight shorts, and, oh, look at me put on my top again. So that kind of put me off, the reason why I didn't go see it in the cinema. But I was glad that when I finally sat down and watched it, I had all these other characters to look into. I mean, Will Smith, I'm finding it really difficult not to like Will Smith at the moment. And seeing him as Deadshot, there was that sequence where they're fighting the weird zombie kind of creatures, and him jumping up on the top of the car and just like popping them left and right, and everybody's stopping firing like he's got it. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking Will Smith, dude. He's fucking got it, you know. Jared Leto, yeah, you know, I'm a big Joker fan. He did pull it off quite well.
Yeah,
you know, I did like the story between him and Harley Quinn. That sequence where she fell in the vat and the whole colour, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The film was beautifully shot. It was horribly edited.
Yeah, but it's like a lot of people said to me, they were like, oh, there wasn't enough Joker in it. I'm like, it's not a film about him.
No, it wasn't a Joker movie.
You know, so the little bits I got of him was just enough.
It was a teaser enough to see if you wanted to see more of this Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, there were like cutscenes. There's like few clips of him in the trailers that aren't in the film. So I think there was supposed to be a bit more of him, and I think he was supposed to come into the final battle, apparently, but
the extended cut or another cut of the film is floating around out there now. Who knows? But anyway, Mel Gibson may be on for Suicide Squad 2. Ronald D. Moore. Everyone knows him as the guy who did Deep Space Nine. Did other Star Trek. He also did Battlestar Galactica, the reboot. He's working on Outlander, which is an Amazon series right now, based on Diana Gabaldon books. Right. Okay. Which is doing very well as well. But right now, he is in talks to work with Bryan Cranston on another Amazon TV series. Going to be 10 standalone episodes on
Read your script, Gary.
I'll try. Use your words. I'll use my words. They're working on a TV series of Electric Dreams, which is going to be 10 standalone episodes based on Dick's work. Right. So, but, you know, Ronald D. Moore, huge sci-fi. Bryan Cranston, amazing actor.
A TV series based on Electric Dreams.
Well, no, it's called Electric Dreams, based on Philip K. Dick's work.
That's what confused me.
I'm sorry.
So Philip K. Dick, the guy who wrote like androids, do androids sleep and stuff like that. Right, okay, because as soon as you said Electric Dreams,
you jumped to the 1980s.
The 1980 movie, and I'm thinking, how are they going to make a 10-episode TV series about a robot that's trying to sleep with his neighbour?
Well, that'll just be one episode of this new series.
I got the song in my head now, Gary. Thanks a lot.
Great. Next up in the news, I thought you might find this one interesting, Ian. I can't remember if we've discussed it before, but there's a new Halloween movie in the works.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, man.
Do you know who is behind it?
It's not John Carpenter.
Danny McBride, who is currently also going to be in the new Alien movie.
Yeah, which I only just found out when I watched the prologue. It's like, oh, it's Danny McBride. Exactly. James Franco. What?
It's like, what are they doing in an Alien movie?
Wait, Danny McBride is the guy from This Is the End.
Yes.
Yeah,
who wakes up and fucking eats all their shit.
Yeah.
The dealer in Pineapple
He
Express.
is now the producer, writer, co-director. He's massively behind the new Halloween movie. But he's also working with John Carpenter.
Oh, good. At least you've got some fucking confidence
Exactly.
there.
This is the first time John Carpenter's come back to Halloween since the third movie. And John Carpenter's actually given this one his blessing because they've said that this film is going to fit in to the mythology that is the Halloween franchise. It's not a reboot. Right. It's not a remake. Yeah. It's not a prequel. Well, I guess it is, considering it's being based after Halloween 2.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, no, that works. I mean, because you can go and watch John Carpenter's Halloween and then Halloween 2.
and now
you can go to that one
It's kind of like-
avoid 4, 5, 6, 7 and fucking 8.
It's kind of like what Alien 5 would do if it would come out and then go, this is after 2.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, but the difference with Halloween, though, compared to Alien, is that Alien never had Busta Rhymes in it. You know, so
True.
anything that avoids you getting to Busta Rhymes beating the shit out of one of your favorite horror characters.
And didn't that start with them killing off the original actress?
Yeah, from Jamie Lee Curtis
Yes,
in
Jamie Lee
Resurrection.
Curtis. Yeah, so
yeah.
maybe they can undo that.
Well, and also, speaking of horror franchises, the Friday the 13th, the next movie, has been cancelled.
Oh yes.
I think it was actually planned to be another just Friday the 13th, just another remake or reboot yet again, but has also been cancelled, and you'll be happy to know, Ian, that not only did the studio cancel that, but they also cancelled World War Z 2.
Fucking hell yes! Oh god, my day's getting better.
So both of those films are now in limbo, whether they'll actually get around to being made or not.
You know they will.
Don't know. Paramount, they like to sit on it.
Someone will come back in a few years. Friday the 13th. It always comes back. Always.
World War Z was such a big part of fucking
No.
shit.
Well, this is almost going to lead us into our actual trilogies discussion. And with the news is that last week I hyped up and got really, really excited that a certain third film in a series was going to get made.
Okay.
Hellboy 3.
Oh.
I've been waiting for Hellboy 3 for so long, and just last month, Ron Perlman and
Guillermo del
Guillermo del Toro, they tweeted out and they said, well, within 1 hour, how many people can we get to respond saying they want Hellboy 3? And he had hundreds of thousands. And so he went to the studios and he went to the writers and he was like, look, people want it.
Yeah.
And he literally just recently tweeted out saying that it's not going to happen. Hellboy 3, no more. He said he spoke to all the parties and he can now safely report 100% the sequel will not happen. And that is to be the final thing to say about it.
What the fuck are they thinking? I mean,
Both
Hellboy
movies
1...
made a profit.
Yeah, Hellboy 1 was good. It's not as fantastical. I think that's a word. Fantastical as the second one. The second one built up this whole, interdimensional fucking shit going on with...
It built out a world, didn't it?
Yeah, with elves and mysticism, and I mean that whole bit with the little old lady that's actually a weird troll that is afraid of canaries and eats cats. That was fucking brilliant. The giant in Ireland, and they meet that little dwarf thing on the wheels. That was absolutely fucking awesome. Cancelling a third film, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, and plus, it's got Ron Perlman in.
Exactly. Yeah. I just think it's so sad.
It is.
It looks like it might get the film adaptation of Hellboy might get a conclusion in comic book form, which doesn't really make much sense. But
give it a couple of years.
They might dig it up
let
again.
the superhero stuff start to die down a bit between Marvel and DC, and somebody will say, "Hey, what about a new Hellboy film?" And Ron Perlman will just give him the finger and say, "Where the fuck were you 3 years ago?"
Yeah.
Another film to sort of have the exact same treatment is Clerks 3.
That was the very next thing on my list was Kevin Smith has cancelled Clerks 3. He's been talking about Clerks 3 for 10 years or more.
Yeah.
He really has, and it's never materialised. He's like, yep, the script is written, just waiting for Miramax to give me the money. But they've given me the money, but I'm going to go and direct these TV episodes, or I'm going to go and do these talk shows. Or...
Well, there was issues after Clerks 2, apparently, like, the main cast still haven't been paid. There was some, like, money issues, and
that's fucking harsh, man.
It's the reason why Clerks 3 is not happening, because some of the actors have refused to come back.
One actor, and it's obviously Jeff Anderson, because he had the issues of not getting paid in Clerks 2, and he was always the guy who was like, no, I don't really want to do Clerks 2. I don't want to be an actor. And
yeah.
I'm a big fan of Clerks. I love, pretty much all of Kevin Smith's stuff. But Clerks 1 and 2 was just done for me, because bigger than the Clerks characters, the main characters, is Jay and Silent Bob all the way.
Yeah. Well, they kind of were
Just
through
it.
the entire film series. Of,
That's it. I think he should concentrate more on just keeping Jay and Silent Bob going.
Well, it's funny that you should mention that, Ian, because Kevin Smith has just finished the script for Jay and Silent Bob 2.
Hell yes!
And I read it and I was like, for real?
Yeah, more dick and fart jokes.
I mean, his last two movies, Tusk and Yoga Hosers.
Haven't got around to them yet.
I watched Tusk with Jeff and we just laughed at it. And then when I tried to think about if I ever had to review it, whether I would praise the film or hate the film, but I was just left going, if I had to give it a score, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10, for style and performance and technical everything else. It was just okay. It wasn't shocking. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, but that's the thing. What was that cop film he did?
Cop Out.
Cop Out.
Cop Out.
A couple of dicks.
I was worried about sitting down and watching that, and then I just laughed my fucking ass off. And I think that's the main thing with Kevin Smith is that if you're a Kevin Smith fan, you've just got to do it. You've just got to watch his stuff.
I've come to like him more outside of his film universe when he's just talking about whatever.
Yeah, like with Cop Out, I think the stories behind the scenes of Cop Out
is more interesting than the film. Exactly.
Yeah, but it's the same with Red State. You see Red State the first time with Kevin Smith, and you're like, what? And then you sit down. It's not really a comedy. It's got all this religious stuff in the background, but there's the Kevin Smith imprint on it.
Yeah.
Which after a while you're just like, actually, you know what, this is pretty good. I want to watch Tusk. I want to watch Yoga Hosers, and what's the last one? It's The Great White North.
Moose Jaws.
Moose Jaws, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll get round to it.
See, I watched Yoga Hosers a few months ago, and it starts off like a female Clerks. It's his daughter and Johnny Depp's daughter, and they're in a convenience store, but that film's not very good. Not very good.
Yeah, I heard terrible things.
The effects are terrible.
I was no impulse to watch that at all. But I might watch a Jay and Silent Bob 2 because of the style that he's going for in this one. Is that it is to poke fun at remakes, and prequels and do-overs, because within Jay and Silent Bob, the Blunt Man and Chronic is getting remade.
Yeah.
And so, of course, they're pissed off that their film is getting remade. And so there's where the whole thing is coming from. So I'm like, it might work if he's clever and if it's not just dick and fart jokes. Kevin Smith, have your dick and fart jokes, but have some class, have some, do some satire in there.
That's where the intelligence comes in it. That's why I really like Jay and Silent Bob and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, because to a lot of people, it's dick and fart jokes and it's all about smoking weed and it's kind of weak. But there's those little sequences where when they go and see Ben Affleck, they go and see Ben Affleck, but he's not playing Ben Affleck. He's playing the guy from Chasing Amy. Yeah. And they start talking about reminiscing films. And then they go on set. And you've got Ben Affleck working with Matt Damon, but that's Ben Affleck, and he starts having all the jokes about fucking dead hookers and stuff like that. And so like you said, if you know the stuff in the background, it makes the film a lot more funny. It enhances the universe
for you, yeah.
And it's very good with cameos. I mean, I don't know if you still think Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back still holds up, but
I hated it. I hated it.
I loved it, and I still enjoy it through the cameos and the sort of lots of nods to the View Askew universe, and
it all links in with the comic books, which link in with the previous
where
films.
My hatred for Will Ferrell began.
Will Ferrell has grown on me over time. I used to hate him, but now I'm just like, you know what, Will. You can wear it. Will Ferrell really stood out for me when I watched Everything Must Go.
Have you ever seen it now?
See, I was very surprised, and it's about a guy who loses his job, and so he can't afford to pay for his house, and so he sticks everything on the front of his lawn, and he lives on the front of his lawn, and it's not a comedy; it's quite serious. And so when you've saturated yourself with so many Will Ferrell comedy movies, and then you see him in a serious role and you realize that he can actually pull off a serious role, you're like, actually, that makes your comedy just work a little bit more for me, because I know you can act.
I occasionally see Will Ferrell. I try and pick the
movies.
In
the corner shop?
It's always around Plymouth.
I will watch a Will Ferrell movie if I know that he is not doing comical, funny faces, humour. Because, like, you know, what was it? Stepsons? Stepbrothers. I thought that was one of the worst pieces of cinematic excrement.
Oh man, you've never watched Semi-Pro then, have you?
Oh,
no, I didn't. So I really fucking hate Will Ferrell movies. But I've seen a couple of movies where he's acting, and then I'm like, you know what? I could like you, Will Ferrell. I could, because you can act.
Yeah.
But you choose to be the funny man, and I hate your funny man persona.
No, see, I think that was the problem with me as well, is that because he did one funny movie, that's what he got saturated with. Like, Semi-Pro is a fucking, ping pong? No, it's basketball.
Basketball.
That's the basketball one. Then you got Blades of Glory, where he's a fucking ice skater.
I like
and
that
then you, you know, and then it's, like you said, and then it's Step Brothers, then it's Ron Burgundy, and then it's this, and then it's that, and you're like, for fuck's sake, when are you going to do something else? Then you go and see something
Adam
like Lego
Sandler
Movie.
much?
yeah, but then you get, like I said, you go and see Lego Movie, and he's got the voice of the evil lord.
Yeah.
And then you see him in that father role.
Yeah, and he was brilliant.
Which was brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do like him, Will Ferrell. The same. I mean, you said Adam Sandler. I mean, these aren't Oscar-winning films, but I just see it as him or Adam Sandler with his friends having fun, being stupid.
Yeah.
And I like Grown Ups is hated, but I enjoy it. It's just Adam Sandler and his friends sitting around calling each other stupid names.
Yeah, and I didn't think I'd like Grown Ups too, but when you stick Stone Cold Steve Austin in a comedy, it works.
Oh, God, I'm going to go and get some bleach and take a quick break. We'll be back with part 2 of the podcast, everyone, where we'll be discussing trilogies.
Yes.
Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody. It's now on to the theme of today's podcast, which is trilogies. Obviously, as it's our third podcast, I was just like, yeah, fuck it. Let's talk about trilogies and movies. Now, I'm a big believer that some trilogies work really well, and others are just fucking cash cows. I mean, the biggest one I can think of that I think actually works well as a trilogy is possibly the Back to the Future trilogy.
Well, no. Because
No?
that third movie
I'm the
is
same.
pretty damn terrible.
Well,
Yeah, it has moments that I like, but no.
Has a lot of apologists for that film, but
it's not terrible, shall we say, because in the wider...
It is compared to the original 2 movies, it is.
Okay, yes, but in the technical working of the trilogy, it works well. I mean, you can watch Back to the Future 1, and as soon as Doc turns up, picks them up at the end, and drives off, you don't ever have to go into it. But you kind of feel that you want to. And so it leads into the second one, and then the second one ends on a cliffhanger, which I will admit as well, the third one isn't as good as the second one. I'm a big fan of the second one. I love the interaction between Marty of Back to the Future 2 interacting with the scenes from Back to the Future 1. That is a technical marvel. I love that kind of stuff. When it ends and the Doc ends up going back in time and you have that letter turning up, it sets you up to get into the third movie.
It was the first time I can ever think of where, after watching the second film, the trailer for the third film played at the end, and you're like, whoa, like, okay, well, I guess the next one's coming. And you're right. By the time second one finishes, you want to go watch the third one, but every time I watch the third one, I'm like, I wish that was better.
Yeah, I can see that. But comparing Back to the Future to some of the trilogies out there, you know, there are some kind of cash cow pieces of shit out there. I'm not going to get into them too early because I want to talk about some other good trilogies that have come out after Back to the Future, after they had the idea of filming them back to back. One of the biggest ones is the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, those again were filmed back to back because there was, you know, you've got a series of books that you cannot fit everything into one movie. You'd have like a 12-hour fucking one movie, so split them all up, and it works again. You know, you've got your Fellowship, then you've got your Battle of Helm's Deep and the Two Towers and all the background story to Saruman. you know, and Gandalf come back. Then you've got the third movie with the Battle of Pelennor Fields. Once again, you know, Peter Jackson does it again with the Hobbit trilogy. Now, a lot of people would say, well, actually, aren't they all 6 movies? But for me, trilogies work because you have either one character working all the way through or one aspect of a story. So for Lord of the Rings, you know, it's all about the
director's
ring.
vision, and it was all from the same source material.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was ever planned as a trilogy. I think when they made the first film, I think it was a bit of a gamble, and it was a case of, if this flops, we don't do Two Towers or The Return of the King. But it did so well that obviously the second and third film was straight into production afterwards. And I think with The Hobbit, I think from there they knew it was just going to be the 3 Hobbit movies. Well, actually, no. It was supposed to be 2, wasn't there?
Yeah,
and then they split the second one again because it was too long. So
Yeah.
it actually became a trilogy, but it wasn't intended.
No,
way.
but and that's why I think the Hobbit trilogy stands alone, because it's not about the ring. The ring does turn up. It is part of Bilbo's story, but it is primarily Bilbo traveling with these dwarves. So you've got two sets of trilogies there that work as one big unit.
I do agree. I think the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, the Hobbit trilogy to a lesser extent, but the Lord of the Rings is one of the best trilogies ever.
Yeah.
And there isn't going to be a 4th movie.
No.
It is self-contained as a trilogy, because as I was looking at trilogies that I wanted to talk about, so many of them now have a 4th movie.
Yes.
Or a 5th, 6th, and 7th movie since.
Yeah.
You know, like 2 of my all-time favourite trilogies was the Die Hard trilogy.
Yeah.
And the Alien trilogy.
Yeah. Well, back when we were growing up, it was just 3 films.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the other trilogies that I want to talk about, and I know our viewers have asked us over the years to talk about it, is the George A. Romero Dead trilogy.
It's not a trilogy anymore.
Well, it isn't, but it always was.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. When we were growing up,
Day. That's it.
Night, Dawn,
your
and Day.
trilogy. Now I consider, Diary, Land of the Dead, and Twilight of the Dead, or whatever.
Survival of the Dead.
It's its own. That's its own entity.
That was like I always saw it as the first Dead trilogy, and then there was his second Dead trilogy.
Totally, yeah. So again, I consider those 2 different trilogies.
See, I'd argue against that, because it follows one long aspect. I mean, yes, okay. First off, the trilogy that trilogy works because you've just got one dynamic story: the zombie apocalypse. None of the characters reprise their roles in the recurring movies. Nobody from Night turns up in Dawn. Nobody from Dawn turns up in Day. But then when you get into Land and Diary and Survival, you realise, actually, okay, it's just about the zombie apocalypse.
Well, he did have sequels planned for Diary and for Land of the Dead. But, the success of those movies wasn't enough for them to fully have faith in bigger budget George Romero zombie flicks.
Yeah, I mean, I researched it and I looked for that trilogy, and they weren't on the trilogy list. What was on the trilogy list was the fucking remakes. Night of the Living Dead remake, the Dawn of the Dead remake, and then the fucking piece of shit that is Day of the Dead.
But the
remake.
Day of the Dead remake even got its own sequel.
Oh god, yeah, it's
Containment, was it?
Terrible.
Or, Contagion? I don't know.
It's the same with like the Return of the Living Dead trilogy. When we were younger, you had Return of the Living Dead,
There's
Return
5
the
of
Living
those
Dead Part
movies
2,
now.
and then Return of the Living Dead Part 3, and it worked. And then they brought out 4 and 5.
It was like Necropolis,
Really?
I think it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, there are 2
I
more.
thought it was 3.
Yeah, there's 5 of those now.
You avoid them. But like I said, I researched a bunch of trilogies, and I wanted to put this to you two to see if there are good trilogies out there, or if they're bad. Now, I'm going to give you a trilogy each, okay?
Okay.
One at a time, and you got to say yay or nay, yeah?
Okay.
Now, yay means that all 3 films work, the dynamic works, and you can watch all 3. You can only say nay if one of those films doesn't do the rest of them justice.
Okay,
so, for example,
yeah.
with Back to the Future, you'd say nay because the third one doesn't work. So,
okay, hit me with it, Ian.
So, Gary, I'm going to hit you with the first one. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy.
Yay.
Yay?
Yay.
What?
Really?
I'm biased, man. Sam Raimi does no wrong. everyone who hates Spider-Man 3, get out. Get out.
All right, see you later.
you look at an image of Sam Raimi before directing the Spider-Man films, and
Yeah.
then look at a picture of Sam Raimi after doing those films. That man aged like 20 years. He got white hair after leaving Sony Pictures after doing those films, and I blame Sony for shoehorning in stuff
Yes.
that
Yes.
Sam Raimi didn't want. Sam Raimi wanted to do the Sandman.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do Venom.
Yeah, it doesn't work in the third movie.
If you take Venom out of that film, then you take out the Jerry Maguire, going into
emo
mode and the silly dance. You take out all the Venom stuff and you take out all the stuff that everyone actually hated.
Yeah.
Despite Venom being a fan favourite, Sam Raimi was like, I don't want to do Venom. That's another story, another thing.
Yeah.
I want to do the Sandman.
Yeah.
Wasn't there supposed to be a fourth?
Oh yes, there was a
Yeah.
planned fourth movie. Raimi was in, I think he had contract to do 3 movies at least. There was a lot of talk about a fourth movie. A lot of the cast were interested. They said we'd come back if Sam Raimi does, but I think Sam Raimi, he left. He went back to do horror after that. I think he did Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah, he did Drag Me to Hell straight after, yeah.
So I think that the Spider-Man trilogy, it got rebooted almost years after, didn't it?
Yeah,
After
the
they got rid
Amazing
of it.
Spider-Man 1 too.
And it's being rebooted again.
Yeah.
And as well as sharing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But when Spider-Man came out, this came out before Iron Man.
Yes.
And this, and it was, when Spider-Man came out, it was fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like, it's, Spider-Man is the biggest selling Marvel character in terms of merchandise as well as the films.
Yeah.
And and Sam Raimi is brilliant. And plus the films have Bruce Campbell in
Yes,
them.
that I was going to say. Yeah,
So-
it works for me as well, 'cause it's got Bruce Campbell in all 3 of them.
So I do understand that the third film is largely considered terrible, but I still get enough out of it to still enjoy it. So for me, it's very close. It could so easily be an A.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Spider-Man trilogy. I actually wrote it down myself as trilogy. I put a question mark after it. It's because I wasn't sure myself, but in the end I always say yay. It's worth watching still.
Okay, Dave, right. Your trilogy, yay or nay, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trilogy.
It's an obvious nay, because that third film is a crock of shite.
It's a time-travelling piece of shit.
I love the Turtles.
sorry,
I
this-
got both films when they came out and loved them so much as I was the right age, but I didn't watch the third film till about 5 years ago when someone gave me his own VHS copy, and oh my god.
The first one works really, really well. I love the dark aspect of it, all the ninjas. Second one, it carries on the story of the first movie. Shredder turning up again, getting mutated at the end of it, becoming Kevin Nash.
Obviously.
And then the third movie, they get a fucking... What's it? April gets a weird Japanese candle and travels back in time.
For me, the Turtles movies fell apart on the second one. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a big nay for me. The second Turtles movie was kidified.
Yeah.
Compared to, I had that goofy cartoon. The film translation was, it was more adult natured.
Yeah.
Especially with the Turtles and their interactions with each other, the hardships that they went through with Splinter, with Raphael sort of splintering from the group.
Yeah, yeah.
You had kids smoking, you had the Turtles using their weapons.
Yes.
There was things that were above the generation the film was aiming for, which was really cool. But in the second film, the PG sort of parental control, they took out the Turtles weren't using weapons anymore. They were using pizzas to slap around the Foot Clan. It just became silly. It just became really silly, and it lost what that first one did. And on top of that, the costumes started to look a little bit ropey.
Yeah.
The lighting, the budget just seemed... It seemed like they took the budget away, and then, as you said, Dave, by the third film, I never even made it through the third film. I stopped watching it. I was like, this is horrible. What were they doing? Like, just to choose an episode from the show and just go with
Bring
it.
Shredder back, for fuck's sake.
Where's the
He's always been-
Technodrome? We've
Yeah.
still never seen the Technodrome until...
And, well, they're teenagers, so give them spots.
Right, Gary, your next trilogy, the Toy Story trilogy.
Well, Toy Story 4 is in development
Yeah,
now.
Well,
so-
but at the
But I
moment,
know
still a trilogy.
It's still a trilogy, and it is a huge yay.
Is it?
Obviously,
Yeah.
absolutely. You pick any one of them on a good day. The second one I thought was a little bit weak in places.
Yeah, yeah.
But the first Toy Story I watched in the cinema, I've since watched almost every Pixar film except for the last couple of years. I've kind of tuned out after Wall-E. I was like, they'll never beat this. This is now my new favorite animated film. From Pixar, but yeah, Toy Story is great. Yeah, it's never
that third Toy Story movie. I mean, I get even though I've seen it multiple times, I get really weepy towards the end when they're in the trash compactor.
Oh yeah.
You know, and they're
end.
all grabbing their hands, and you think, oh my god, it's the end, and then they all start saving. You're like, yes, you saved my childhood, and it swings it all back. You get Andy back in. He's older now. He's going on to college. He doesn't want to just chuck away his toys, but by the end of the movie, he's handing them on to another child to start off a new generation of Toy Story movies.
Yeah,
which
they
works.
are now coming. Obviously, you know, they're one of the most successful franchises Pixar has, and
Yeah.
they're not going to stop making them. They're not.
Okay, for Dave, now this one we're going to go straight over to Asia. A Better Tomorrow trilogy. Yay or nay?
I'd say it's just nay.
Nay?
That third film is alright, but
It's got
Whenever-
nothing on the first and second one.
yeah, that's what I mean. I always stop at the end of number 2 when everybody dies. But then it's like, well, it's prequel time. Well, the second film's premise is daft. It's like, we killed Chow Yun-fat in the first film, but he's huge. Let's bring in his identical twin brother.
Played by Chow Yun-fat.
Yeah. But the second film, they up everything, and it's just fantastic. But
Yeah.
then the third, they go to some...
I wikied this one because I've never seen it. They go to Vietnam, and it's like at the end of the Vietnam War, and you know you've got Chow Yun-fat again, and one of the other characters I think from the first movie.
Yeah, it's the main two guys.
Yeah.
But it's totally forgettable. To the point I can't really remember. I remember them getting in a helicopter at one point. But then there was a Return to a Better Tomorrow, and there was a remake a few years ago of A Better Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Neither is that good.
So that's a big nay for A Better Tomorrow trilogy.
Yeah, but it would be better as a duology.
All right, Ian, I got one for you.
Oh, I haven't finished yet. I've still got a long list.
Well, I got one for you.
Okay.
How about the El Mariachi trilogy?
See, I love the El Mariachi trilogy. The first movie is I'm going to just say it's a big yeah, because the first movie is low budget, independent, Robert Rodriguez filmmaking at its best, because you sit there, yeah. It's raw. It's hot. You're following this guy he's just a mariachi, but he gets involved in this big situation that he has no control over. That flows into Desperado, which is fucking brilliant. You know, I could watch Desperado.
I think that's the highlight of the trilogy.
Yeah, the fight sequence where he calls in his two mates and they've got the rocket launcher and Gatling cannon, guitar cases firing against a bulletproof limo is absolutely brilliant. Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I had a bit of a problem getting into it first, but when Johnny Depp turns up and gets blinded, and then he's got the little kid leading him around, and it just turns into a massive, huge shooting fest again, I just want to go back and watch the other two as well. And once I go back and watch the other two, I've got to go back and watch the third one. So it's kind of like this revolving loop where I'm just like, you know what, Robert? This is your little baby. You can go off and you can try doing other films. You know, I'll get to the next trilogy, you know. But that, he really honed his craft and worked really well, and it stands out just for him.
Yeah.
But talking about Robert Rodriguez, Gary.
Yeah.
The From Dusk Till Dawn trilogy.
Nay.
There was only a first one.
No, there's three.
There are
I don't think there is.
Well, there is, because Bruce Campbell is in the second
He's
one.
in number 2. Yeah.
He only has a cameo as somebody he's a janitor, I think, and he's investigating an elevator shaft in a movie within the movie,
yeah. The
and
second
it's only worth watching it just for that.
The second one I can watch for a laugh. The first one is brilliant.
Was it Robert Patrick, the Terminator?
Yeah, he's
and
in
it
this...
also had the actor from Alien Resurrection who played DeStefano, who was
Yes.
also in Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Great small actor. And so there were some good actors in that film. I liked the idea of it. Was it a police station under siege?
No, it was a bank robbery. They were going to rob a bank, and one of the main guys who's got their plan, he goes to the titty twister, turns into a vampire, and then he starts infecting all of his buddies.
It was, for me, it's like the Starship Troopers trilogy. You
Oh.
know? You know, where you just have that awesome fucking first movie,
Yeah.
and then that follows it up, you know? From Dusk Till Dawn. Tarantino,
Yeah.
Rodriguez, the actors in that film, the action, the special effects. It's just, I get a boner just thinking about that fucking movie.
Salma Hayek.
Salma Hayek, I'm sorry.
The Hangman's
It's so
Daughter.
good.
I can't watch. I don't
third
think I've ever
one,
watched it. The point of the film just doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm just like, you know what?
I struggled through it so
Fuck
so
that movie.
hard. So yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn is a huge nay, but the first film, fucking awesome.
Dave, your trilogy, the Lost Boys trilogy.
I can't say because I never went past the first one, to be honest.
I saw The Tribe,
So
the second one.
Well, we'll go to Gary for this one.
And yeah, well, it's going to end pretty quickly because I got through the second film. When the third one was announced, I was like, ha! Fool me once. Fucking, yeah, you're done. Walking away, done. Yeah, what a way to kill that franchise dead.
Yeah, and the fact that
Everyone wanted it, though.
Yeah, they did. And the fact that they brought back, they brought back, what's his name in the second one? Corey Haim?
Yeah.
They brought back Corey Haim in the second one, but he literally only turns up at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then they decide, right, okay,
So we need a film just
that
about
didn't
him.
work. We'll bring the third one in, and we'll bring Corey Feldman back and have the Frog Brothers.
Yeah.
But I looked at clips of it on YouTube when I was researching, and I'm like, fuck this movie. I'm not even going to try and defend this movie. The first one, once again, like From Dusk Till Dawn, stands out, absolutely brilliant. Second and third, they're just trying to cash in on the success of the first
it was
movie.
so many years after the first film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, it was doomed from the start with it being a direct-to-DVD budget.
Yeah.
The script had kicked around. It was made because there was a lot of people going, is it going to happen? And, what we got is just left it sour. So, yeah, those sequels should be forgotten, just like the From Dusk Till Dawn ones.
Did the sequels have a topless saxophone player in there?
No,
I don't know. I haven't watched them.
There you go.
Exactly.
You've messed up from
You
the
messed
start.
up right there. Right, okay. Okay, Gary, I see you're signalling to
Yeah,
me.
I'm going to chuck one at you in
Yeah.
this Blade trilogy.
Oh, it's a nay.
Yeah.
It's a nay. Blade 1 and Blade 2, I really enjoy.
You know, I only enjoy Blade 2 now.
Yeah, same here.
Blade, and it's...
Blade 1 seems really cheesy, but it's got a comic book kind of feel to it, which I like because
It has
Blade
that.
is
It has
comic
that
book based.
opening, dance, the nightclub sequence
Yeah.
with the shower of blood. And,
Yep.
But Blade 2, Del Toro. I'm
Oh,
sorry, but
man,
that
Luke
yes.
Goss.
so good.
I was very surprised about Luke Goss.
Yeah.
When I saw his name on it, I'm like, Bros. And, if you don't get the Bros reference there, then you're too young. But Luke Goss, I was just like, how is this going to work? And then you see the dynamic of his character. You think he's the bad guy, but then you realize that actually he's once again this tortured innocent character who's been drawn into it. And then you get to the fucking third movie, and you're bringing Dracula.
And Ryan Reynolds.
Triple H.
And Triple H.
Okay. Look, I'm going to defend Triple
Jessica
H.
Biel.
He was funny in that. Triple H was pretty funny in
Pretty
it.
sure he just walked around saying dickhead.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
entire film.
Ryan Reynolds, I've always liked Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I'll even go and say that I do like the Green Lantern movie.
Yep.
And Jessica Biel, yeah, she's fine. But bringing in Dracula was just because if you're a vampire film fan or vampire TV show fan, Dracula is immortal. Even if he gets fucking killed, he's coming back. So making him the big bad in the Blade movie, I'm like, right, even if Blade cuts his head off, chops him into a million pieces, and scatters him to the four corners of the world, he's coming back. So what a weak ass fucking villain to have. So yeah, it's a big nay.
Yeah.
Big nay for me.
Okay.
Gary, your trilogy is the Millennium Trilogy, and what I mean by that is the girl with the dragon tattoo, the girl who played with fire, and the girl who kicked the hornet's nest.
Okay. Now, it's a series of books which I started,
Yeah.
but didn't finish.
Yeah.
I saw the girl with the dragon tattoo in
Yeah.
the cinema.
Yeah.
And was blown away by the performances in it. She's the actress who went on to do Prometheus.
Yes.
Just a devastating performance she gave. You just really felt for her throughout the film.
Yeah.
And there's some really hard scenes, some good material, hard scenes to watch. The second and third films, I kind of got lost a little bit along the way. But
Yeah.
they still really held up. The remake I also watched. I think that had, was it Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
He was
I
in
think-
that.
yeah,
It was flat. It didn't work. It was unnecessary. I don't know if they actually finished the remake trilogy.
No, they
No.
did the first one,
The
and
second one came out recently, like in the last 2-3 years.
wow,
maybe.
it didn't get advertised that well then.
Yeah. But I would say, it's tough. I would say the film series stays consistent throughout.
Yeah.
So it almost, in my mind, the three films have kind of merged together. So it does feel like one extended story.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, it feels like the first film has the beginning and the third film has the end. It really works. So yeah, it's going to be a yay.
It's a yay for that one.
Although it's not for everybody.
No.
So it's a select audience for that film.
Dave, yours, we're going back to Asia now, a Chinese ghost story trilogy.
Nay.
Nay.
I'm not going to say yay on any of these. I mean, the first film is phenomenal, a sci-hark. The second one, critically not loved, but it's my favourite, with a big giant rubber monster and lots of weird slime and awesome, I wouldn't even say digital effects, they're kind of crazy, over-the-top, cheap effects, but
Yeah.
I really like that. But then, like a lot of Asian movies, like the third, they came back with a whole new cast, and in this one they've retold the first story, but with new cast and just less budget, and it was just naff.
Yeah, so that sounds like a bad trilogy to get through.
Again, it would have been an amazing duology. It's just they've got to come back for that third. And
Yeah,
it's like,
they all will try and cash in on the success of the first and second, and then they just completely ruin it. Gary,
Okay.
the Riddick trilogy.
Oh, hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah, except maybe. I when Pitch Black, is it Pitch Black?
Yeah, Pitch
Was the
Black's the first one.
I've seen Pitch Black about 10 times easily.
Yeah.
I sort of enjoyed it the first time I watched it. I really did not like Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
I was like, who is this guy? He's all show. He's not really. There's no charisma.
Why is he the badass? Or
Why
that?
is he the best? I was more interested in the bounty hunter character.
Yes.
In that film. So and it just felt like a cheap Aliens film.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah, I can see that.
I wanted to enjoy it more, and I continued to keep watching that film, and I'm like, maybe I'll enjoy it this time with
Yeah.
a different audience. So I'm sat with watching it. Maybe, and some people get bored watching it. It worked as a standalone horror film, and with sci-fi elements to it. But it was nothing. It was nothing new for anybody. So the second film came out, which is the Chronicles of Riddick, and everybody hated it.
I loved it. It expanded the universe. Like
I
We watched
literally
it together, didn't we? for the
we
first
did,
time?
yes, yeah. I went so much so as I actually borrowed a projector and got my DVD of that film, and then cleaned up space on the wall and watched that film at home on the projector, because I was like, I need to see this on the big screen. I missed it in the cinema, and I just sat there and just staring at these space vistas.
Yes.
And that was when I was like, wow, this expanded universe, this Riddick universe is fascinating.
Yes,
And I loved the acting in that film. I loved the characters. I really grew attached to Riddick. And so when I got to the third film, which for me is the best of the entire trilogy.
in a weird way, it's kind of a remake of the first one, though.
In essence, no. Well, he's on the planet. These bounty hunters know he's there, and they're coming to get him and get the reward.
Yeah.
And of course, you got Starbuck actress.
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff in there as well. It's just great moments. Just I could have just watched the whole film with just Riddick on that, where he was on that planet on his own, just easily, and playing the video games as well. That universe is just expanded. I want a fourth Riddick movie. It doesn't need to end as a trilogy. I'd easily watch more.
Yeah, I want them to carry on the Necro story from Chronicles, because, like you said, Pitch Black. I saw it in the cinema. I enjoyed it because I kind of like the whole scary aliens on this planet killing people, and then you've got this badass character who can see in the dark. Then you get the Chronicles of Riddick. The universe is massively expanded. You're bringing in all this extra science fiction stuff, and being a science fiction fan, loved it. And then all of a sudden you go for the third movie right back to what it was in the first movie, and I'm like, hold on, what happened to all that? Oh, they've buggered off. They're on another side of the galaxy. So at the end of the third movie, I'm just like, I want him to go back now. I want him to go back and declare war on them and kick all their asses.
Yeah. So yeah, more Riddick. Give me more Riddick. Ian, I got one for you.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. Now it was a trilogy.
Yeah. See.
It's still by today been a trilogy longer than there has been 4 movies.
Yes.
Some tonight is a 4th movie.
Yes.
The Indiana Jones trilogy and the 4th movie, because it's a 4 movie series now. They work for me. They really do. I grew up watching Indiana Jones. I really love Raiders of the Lost Ark. Absolutely brilliant. Temple of Doom, watching it at such a young age, it was fun. I wanted to be Short Round, going around with Dr. Jones and getting into these mad little adventures. Last Crusade, I thought it was a bit weak, but I loved the relationship between Jones and Jones. You know,
the Joneses.
The Jones brothers, you know, all the little things that they get into. Well, the Jones boys, they call them, sorry, the Jones boys. The little things they get into involving, Berlin and Hitler and having to go around and find the Grail. And I like the 4th movie. I know a lot of people kick up fuss about Crystal Skull and go on about, oh, it's got aliens in it. Hold on. The other fucking 2 movies had aspects of God in it. I believe more about extraterrestrials than I do about a Grail that can give eternal life but can't actually leave the place that you've managed to get into.
Or the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
Well, I don't believe in Shia LaBeouf. So.
No. See, now, yeah, Shia LaBeouf, I thought was the weakest part of Crystal Skull, because they were trying to force him onto you as being the new Indiana Jones. But taking him out, everything with Harrison Ford, I mean, come on, him going on to do Force Awakens and bring back Han Solo again. I love that whole old man Harrison Ford stuff. He plays the grizzled veteran so well that I could just sit there. And when he climbs into that fucking fridge and gets blown by the nuke, it's fucking awesome. I love that. That's almost as fun as the minecart chase in Temple of Doom. You know, it's just...
It's ridiculous. It's silly.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts on Temple of Doom?
Temple of Doom, it was my favourite as a kid, and now it's probably my least favourite.
Yeah, if I do watch Indiana Jones as either the first
or the third. I love Last Crusade,
that is my favourite, actually.
Yeah.
I
love the sunset that they ride off into at the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
It just cemented it. Just Sean Connery as well. It's one of my favourite Sean Connery performances.
The beginning with River Phoenix playing the young Indiana Jones, that bit is really brilliant, because it sets up why they have this troubled relationship in the later
I think
parts
that
of the
was
film.
the inspiration which eventually spawned the Indiana Jones TV series, which I think it was pretty short-lived.
Well, you know, TV series based on a film character.
I don't know, Ash vs Evil Dead did alright.
Well, it's Bruce Campbell, mate. Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Dave, the Dead or Alive trilogy.
I haven't seen the 3rd one. I've had it for a very long time, but I used to watch the trailer, which is just like a mashup of strange, weird clips of nonsense, and I was like, I never got around to watch it, but on the strengths of the first 2, I love those first 2 films. They're very different, the same sort of actors in bizarre different roles, but...
We're talking about the Takeshi Miike.
Yeah,
the trilogy. You know, not the Dead or Alive fucking video game.
See, if you slot that one on the 3rd, then it's definitely a yeah.
But I mean, you start off with that first one, cop and robber going at it, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the movie, rocket launchers, power balls, and a nuke going off.
Well, no, the rocket and the Powerball combining destroys the world.
Yeah.
I've not seen these films.
But the second one kind of, I can't remember, but it kind of loses that fantasy appeal, doesn't it?
I enjoyed that more. It was like more subtle. It's about them sort of going to their sort of childhood, like where they grew up in this like orphanage and in this like weird remote island, and they keep growing angel wings, like black and white ones.
Alright, so it's still got the fantastical appeal than the first one.
And it's still got the quirky, weird characters and strange subplots and strange things like that. But
you haven't watched the 3rd one yet to be able to say if it's yay or nay yet.
Yeah, well, you just have to wait for that one.
Yeah, we'll
wait on bated breath.
We'll have to review the trilogy.
Oh, yes.
And then we can see
Right,
it.
and I got one for you.
Okay.
The Cornetto trilogy.
Oh, fucking hell yeah.
Yeah?
Hell yeah. The weird thing is, for me, trilogies, like I said at the start, it follows either a character or a storyline.
Or director's vision.
Or director's vision. But, I mean, I stick with the first two that I said, where, you know, I don't really class a trilogy like that, because it brings me to, like, John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. You know, they have nothing connecting them apart from the director, so each one stands alone. And the same with the Cornetto trilogy. You know, if I'm in a zombie comedy mood, I'll watch Shaun of the Dead. If I want to watch a bunch of fucking cops in a small town shoot up a place, I'll watch Hot Fuzz. I delve into
World's End.
World's End, the World's End, because at World's End there's Pirates of the Caribbean. I dip into the World's End a little bit every now and again, but I do find it weaker than the other two.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
But I will still watch it just to end, as I said, this imaginary trilogy, because you're following the journey of Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, you know, and in a major extension, Edgar Wright, you know, starting off. I love the movie references in the first two, but I don't think that there's that many movie references in the third one. I mean, maybe B-movie, sci-fi, horrors from the 50s and 60s.
There was a fair few, but yeah, you're right. I got sick of Shaun of the Dead after a while. I'd seen it quite a few times, and you know, I wouldn't ever choose to watch it again. Maybe now, after it's been quite a long time.
Yeah.
Hot Fuzz, I also didn't enjoy it the first time I saw it, but on repeated viewings, I'm like, this is actually probably my favourite of the three movies. And The World's End, I turned it off the first time I watched it. Didn't enjoy it.
Because you saw yourself in Simon Pegg's character.
Yeah, in a way. In a really weird way. And so the next time I watched it, I got to the same part in the film, and before I knew it, I was on my phone. I was reading Twitter and Facebook messages from other people, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm watching a film. Yeah. And then I watched the rest of it, and yeah, it was meh. By the end of it, it was meh. As much as I'm a big fan of Spaced. I'd go back and watch Spaced any time, any episode in any order. Yeah. Compared to the Cornetto trilogy, which has its strengths, but for me is overall no.
Another trilogy like that, where you said it's not sort of connecting story or character wise, is the Vengeance trilogy.
Yeah.
Which I think would definitely be a with.
I actually written that down as a yeah.
With Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, a really strong, powerful film. Old Boy, which I think is an all-time classic. Yeah. Lady Vengeance is probably the weakest of the three, but it's still a very, very powerful film with great vision, great. Yeah.
It was all the different perspectives of the theme of vengeance and revenge. So
isn't Lady Vengeance the one where she dies and then comes back and it's got zombies in it?
No, it's where she's like been put in prison and.
Sorry, I got confused with Versus. Is it Versus? There's a Japanese fucking zombie movie where a guy dies and comes back.
It's about a group of three people that keep resurrecting and going through this fight again and again, and they're fighting in the forest with zombies.
Right, yeah.
Samurai swords.
I saw Versus once. I actually picked it up when I was in the States, because I never saw a copy over here in HMV or wherever it was, and brought it back and I was like, look, I've got Versus! Oh, what the fuck is this?
I think I've tried to watch that with you like twice, and both times I've fallen asleep.
Yeah.
It
just drags out of it.
Dave, your trilogy is the Austin Powers trilogy.
Nay. I still think the first film holds up quite well.
Yes, I like the first one. The Spy Who Shagged Me.
It was like, remember those jokes in the first film? Here they are again. We'll extend them.
Groovy. I hated fucking Austin Powers. I hated every motherfucker that impersonated Austin fucking Powers. My God.
I think that's what the rest of the world saw the Brits as.
Completely.
The next decade.
And then you get the Goldmember.
I tell you, there was one scene in all of the trilogy which made me laugh. You tell me which film it's from, but it's when he's in the car or in the cart in the small hallway, and he's trying to do
That's
the
first
three-point
one. That's the first one.
That gets me in stitches all the time, because you see drivers that struggle to maneuver their car, and that's just perfectly highlighted that. That was great. Great little sketch. All right, Ian, I got another one for you.
Yeah.
The Mad Max trilogy. Yes, there is a fourth movie.
Oh, you doing it again?
But it's different.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, for me personally, you've got the Mad Max trilogy with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And Tom Hardy's is a standalone.
No plans of sequels for it.
Yeah,
it's a standalone thing.
It's a standalone thing. There's aspects of Fury Road that I still get confused about. Of what's that little girl in his vision? Where's she from? Who the fuck is she? You know. But the Mad Max trilogy, it's a yay.
Yeah.
Even though
Thunderdome
is
really
the weakest.
To the point where it ruins the trilogy?
No, because it ends it. You know, you followed Max's story.
And that's Tina Turner.
You know, Max in the first one, you know, he's the family man, he loses it, and then, you know, at the end of the movie, it ends. And just like I said with the Back to the Future trilogy, you could easily just flow straight into Mad Max 2, which is a fucking cinematic masterpiece. I absolutely love Mad Max 2. The same thing happens when it leads into Thunderdome, because he gets left on that road, and then you start Thunderdome where he's got the camels and he's got his little, you know, wagon thing. Yes, it does get weak when he gets into Bartertown. He meets Tina Turner, and then he goes off and he finds the Lost Tribe, and he's trying to help them escape. But it's just the environment they're in. Bartertown looks absolutely brilliant. If you've ever played a Fallout game, that's what Bartertown is. You know, the Lost Tribe, I do find them weak, but then I'd like the story that there's a plane crashed out there and these children are surviving in this little oasis where you've come from this radioactive desert and you've got this beautiful greenery. And Mel Gibson, yeah, he carries it for me.
Yeah, I love the first two Mad Max films, but I'll never watch Thunderdome again unless I have to. But it's one of those I dread having to watch that film again. I enjoy the first 20 minutes of Thunderdome.
Yeah.
And then, when Tina Turner turns up, that's it. I'm sorry. The film just gets so derailed that it can't even redeem itself. It's no.
She's a bit of a badass though, especially when she's going up against Master Blaster. You know, you've got these two controlling aspects, and you can look at it and say, well, there's a lot of Yojimbo, A Fistful of Dollars in that movie, where, you know, he's the man with no name wandering into town and trying to play two people off, and he gets beaten up, finds these people to help and helps them off. But the action, the train ride at the end, it's not as good as the trucks at the end of Mad Max 2, but it reminds me a lot of Mad Max 2, and so, yeah, it's a good trilogy.
No, okay.
Gary?
Okay.
The Maniac Cop trilogy.
Well, it's, you know...
It's a what? It's a yay or an A?
It's a yay.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, because if you're going to fucking sit and watch Maniac Cop, you'll easily watch Maniac Cop 2 and 3 because your standards are Maniac Cop.
Yeah.
You know?
No! The third movie is fucking shit!
Yeah, but I still enjoy it. I've forgotten the actor of the cop.
Robert Zarr.
No, that's the
That's Matt
detective.
Cordell.
No, the detective that's chasing him in the third one.
Oh, it's not Robert Duvall.
It is Robert, though, isn't it?
I think it's Robert Davi.
Yes,
The
Robert
guy
Davi,
with the guy with the weird, pickpocketed face.
I liked his character. I liked his performance. I liked, they had a lot of problems with it, but they had some ideas. I still enjoy it. The trilogy works, you know, even though Bruce Campbell dies horribly.
Yeah, in the second one, yeah.
Yeah, but I enjoy the ride because it's one of those where, you watch the first one, you're like, okay, that was really well done. It was a poor man's Terminator in some ways.
Yeah.
But music, camera work, lighting, it worked. It was a movie that has been beautifully restored on Blu-ray and looks great. The second one, it's a bit of a roller coaster. You know, they tried to up the ante.
The police station shootout's brilliant.
Yeah, and then the third one, they didn't know what they were doing with it. But I still enjoy the ride. You know, if I'm going to watch the Maniac Cop movies, I'll probably watch all three of them. I wouldn't skip the third one.
You're sick. You are sick.
And that car chase at the end where he's on fire and it's fun.
Nah.
It's fun.
Dave, the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yay!
Yay?
Yay!
Really?
Yeah.
That third one is so weak.
It's not weak. It's not as
brilliant as the second one.
It's
Yeah.
only because you've got to compare it to the second one.
which I think is one of the greatest films ever made. But
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people have problems with the third one, or like things that aren't discussed, or plot holes as they call it. But that film was like 3 hours long.
Yes.
I mean, the only way they're going to solve that is if they made it a quadrilogy and sort of split that film into two. But I mean, I've been reading Batman since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So these stories, I think there was a lot of reference to it, and the film itself, the way Christopher Nolan captured some of those scenes on IMAX, those big, giant fight scenes out in the city and stuff like that. It's such a beautiful film, and it just shows his craft as a filmmaker. I mean, that film, I'd say yes, is probably the weakest, but I can still rewatch it. I think it's when the second half of that film that just builds and builds and builds, and it's right to the last moment. I think it's still...
the last moment that Batman just quits and fucks off to France.
Hell yeah.
see, the first one I thought was quite weak, but I let it go because it was new and it was fresh. It was Bale being Bruce Wayne. Give it a chance. Dark Knight, oh my god, it's a fucking cum fest for me every time I sit down and watch it.
That's why we can't watch it together.
Yeah, that's why we can't watch it together, But then I get to the third movie and I'm, I'm still riding on the fucking adrenaline of the second movie. But there was so much from the background where Nolan wanted to stop after Dark Knight. And he was kind of forced back into Dark Knight Rises, that I feel that from the movie that he's just tying off loose ends. You say, okay, there's plot holes in it that can be completely, just avoided. But they're so blatantly there that I can't avoid them. So that by the end of the movie, like I said, when Bruce Wayne just quits, I don't read that many Batman comics, but I'm pretty sure Bruce Wayne doesn't just quit.
Well, I was talking more about, everybody goes, well, how did he get out of the hole? Santa Prisca and get back to the city. He's like, well, if you ever read a comic, he's there, here, there.
Right, okay,
everywhere.
yeah, we don't go too far into this, but we get told by fucking Ra's al Ghul's daughter before he goes to the hole that all of his assets have been frozen, and that he has nothing. So you're telling me he gets from wherever he is, because we don't get told where it is. We don't get told where it is, do we?
But he is
Bruce
Wayne.
Where is it? The Middle East? Australia? Mexico? It's a desert somewhere. He gets up and manages to get back to Gotham City just in time, in his suit, just in time to save the city.
Bruce Wayne. He's famous, world famous.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone is going to help him out.
Yeah, but you can't just accept that for that movie and not accept it for other movies.
Yeah, but I don't know. If you read the comics, he's got a Batcave pretty much everywhere in the world.
And that's the only other answer, that he gets out of that hole, wanders like 10 miles down the road, finds this Batcave. I'm glad I put this here, but I never knew that fucking prison was up there. Yeah.
No, for me personally, I actually think the Batman Begins is my favourite of the three movies.
Really?
Yeah, it's a great origin story. I know everyone's sick of origin stories, but I think origin stories in all the superhero movies are the best ones. I love him working his way up the crime syndicate, just taking them out.
Yes.
I never was a big fan of Scarecrow.
Yeah.
But I thought that was great. I loved everything about that.
Yes.
I loved the build up and the rise of Batman to where Gotham was learning that they had this vigilante out there that was dressed in as a bat, and the whole build up and the way that Nolan's film changed it for me. It really changed the landscape of superhero movies in film form.
Yeah.
With the fact that it was darker, that it was a little bit more realistic in what it was trying to do, to go, this is what would happen if this was real life.
Yeah.
To an extent. And that's what I loved. It set everything up to make the second one as great as it is.
It kind of revitalised Liam Neeson's career as well.
Big time. Yeah.
Gary?
Yep.
The Matrix trilogy.
Nay.
Nay.
Yeah. You know what? I might have said this before, but The Matrix, when I was, people always ask me, what did you think of films? And I'd always just give them a score out of 10.
Yeah.
Matrix was the first film I ever gave a 10 to.
Nice.
I was speechless when I first saw that film. The special effects, the CGI,
Oh.
the cinematography, the fight choreography,
Yeah.
the music,
Yeah.
the sci-fi world that it's set up, just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And when the second film came out, I was so excited. I was like, wow, I thought Matrix was a self-contained film. And
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
expect sequels. Like, I can't wait to see what happens next. Like, Neo can fucking fly. Like, he's the one. And what I got was a bunch of gibberish that didn't make sense, with a bunch of fight scenes that outlasted their welcome. Granted, you know, everyone jizzes all over that motorway sequence, which, yeah,
It's
but
pretty good, but
it is really good. But I didn't care about any of the characters anymore.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm watching computer effects. I'm not really feeling Neo or Morpheus or Trinity anymore.
Yeah.
Not like I did in the first film. It's like now they're action figures.
Yeah.
They're moving the way you expect them to move in it. You know, they broke ground with Western martial arts in films and brought it to all new audiences with its bullet time, camera spinning trickery.
yeah.
But it didn't make sense. And there are thousands of videos on the internet of people explaining what the Matrix means.
Yeah, but that's why you
And-
needed the third
And
one.
then you get to the third movie, which is just, you know, we're going to take out some of that stuff that you can't think about because it's too esoteric and too what is real. Is the Matrix real? We're the Matrix within the Matrix.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
did we ever really wake up from the Matrix? Is
Yeah.
Neo the one? Is there really a spoon? You know, who's feeding who with a spoon?
that whole
and then the
mech
fall of
suit
Sion
fight.
Yeah,
the whole mech suit fight is amazing.
Again, it's the same as the second one. It's action scenes that outlast their welcome because you only really know a few of these people in Sion that are fighting.
Yeah, but I don't care about them. I just like the giant mech suits with the huge fucking
And it
guns.
took you out of the Matrix as well. It was.
Yeah, it totally did.
Wait, wasn't that the point of getting out of the Matrix?
Yeah, but
It turns out they never got out of the Matrix because the AI knew that in order to keep them within the Matrix, they'd have to have this revolt.
Yeah.
You know, and they knew that the system would only keep 1% of them to try and wake up. And so it made a system within its system to complement those people that would want to try and wake up from the Matrix.
Yeah.
And then the secret was keeping them convinced they were in the Matrix. And so you know, it's like, well, but then there's guns and shooting spider squid monsters. Yeah, well, whatever. The second and third films destroyed the first Matrix film and reduced it from being a 10 evermore. And then, of course, the Wachowski siblings have gone on to make some terrible, terrible movies.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think we might have seen the last of them. I don't know if they'll ever get another budget the size of the
No,
Matrix,
no.
or what was the last film? Was it?
World at,
It was the sci-fi Cloud Atlas. Yeah.
Atlas.
I enjoyed the cinematography in that.
But you got to give it.
That's about it.
I mean, Keanu Reeves again.
Oh yeah.
You know, he kind of carries those films really well, regardless of the working of the story and stuff like that. And then he gets to step away and start doing John Wick and things like that. So, for me, it's a yay. Only if you've watched it enough time to not really give a fuck about the story. You're just like you said, you're there for the kung fu action. You're there for the bullet time. You're there for the guns. Forget about werewolves, vampires, aliens, computer programming and stuff like that. It's more of just kick-ass action.
It will always be remembered for its set pieces.
Yeah, and how they destroy them. Dave, the Armor of God trilogy.
There's a yeah. Right. Yeah, I just remembered the most recent-
CZ12, I believe it was called.
Yeah, the Zodiac. But nay, that last film was a nice return to kind of form for Jackie Chan,
Yeah.
but it's still
It's not as good as the first one.
no. He brought in green screens and weird effects, and the first two films are like choreographed, like just.
It's just Jackie being Jackie.
It's just perfect set pieces and amazing choreography and fight scenes and stunts, and I mean the stories are daft, like they're sort of low grade Indiana Jones, but they were fun and they were impressive to watch. But the last one, it's sort of Jackie's getting it up in the age, and maybe we can help him out with some special effects and some green screens.
Well, sticking with Jackie Chan, I'm going to drop this one on you as well. The Rush Hour trilogy. Oh my god! I knew you two were going to be like this.
I mean, I've loved Jackie Chan for so many years, especially mainly from his Hong Kong stuff, and I watched Rush Hour and I'm like, I like it. I must like it because it's Jackie Chan. I have to like this film. This film is good. I'm going to like this film. This film is. I like this film.
It is not as bad as Rumble in Hong Kong.
Oh no. And then the second one I don't mind because they go to Hong Kong. It's quite some nice set pieces and scenery, but it's daft.
Zhang Ziyi as well, I think it is, in the second movie.
Yep, she was quite good in it. And then the third film, I was like, I didn't watch the third film. And then my wife's like, no, we went to the cinema to see that. I went, oh, Christ. And then, oh, God, they went to France and destroyed any chance of a fourth film.
Well, I stopped after 20 minutes of the first film. I never got further than that. I was like, no, I cannot stand Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker is good.
It's the only reason why I can't stand Fifth Element.
Fifth Element's amazing.
I guess you wouldn't watch Friday.
Yeah,
I've seen Friday.
I love
the
Friday trilogy as well. I'm going to chuck in there. The Friday trilogy is good. Friday is brilliant. Next Friday is just fun because you're just carrying on the kind of the comedy and Ice Cube's character from the second one, and the third movie, Friday After Next. It's a cool little Christmas comedy.
Yeah,
you know, it's there if you're a Friday fan. It's a good trilogy. I'll back that one.
Well, we're coming almost to the end of this section of the podcast. So, Iain, I just want to throw it out to you. What's your best trilogy? Your favourite trilogy, rather? What do you think's the worst trilogy? And which film series do you wish there would be a third movie to complete a trilogy for?
Oh, see, I the easy one would be the Back to the Future trilogy for the favourite, but you know, going off just because it's part of him. It's the John Carpenter Apocalypse trilogy. You know, The Thing, Prince of Darkness, and In the Mouth of Madness. Even though all three of them have nothing connecting apart from the director, like you said with the vision, they're just brilliant. I love The Thing. It's fucking amazing.
So say we all.
Say we all. You know, Prince of Darkness. Wow, just the way it's filmed, the way it's handled, the kind of background of it. And In the Mouth of Madness, if you've seen our review, you know, did I ever tell you my favorite color is blue? You know, it's just crazy. The Poltergeist trilogy is possibly I don't want to say the worst, but the first one is brilliant. The second one gets weak towards the end. There are some really, really good bits, especially with the Indian character, you know, Car angry. Oh, the car told you that? Yes. Car wants to come. Taylor, that's it, yeah, Taylor. You know, and then you've got Kane and all that stuff, but the final battle is quite weak. You know, the special effects are bad. And then you get to the third movie, and all I can say is, Caroline, because that's basically what that film comprised of. The one trilogy I would like to be made, and it's getting on a bit now, so I don't think it will ever be, is the 28 Days Later trilogy.
Yeah, I actually wrote that one down as well. Yeah, the 28 months later, would it be now?
Something like that, but the first one is really, really good. It's not zombies.
Well, no, it's infected.
It's infected. They're infected, like the people in World War Z, Dave. Then you get 28 weeks later, they kind of up the budget a bit, but they're carrying on the story from the first movie. And Robert Carlyle he's got some brilliant scenes in that. He's the loving father. Then he's got his wife. He's that weak character at the beginning because you're like, fuck, he's just left his wife. Then she comes back, he gets infected, and then he fucking crushes her skull. You know?
Gouges her eyes out.
And he's kind of smart because he's chasing his family around. And the way it ends, I'm like, I want a third.
Yeah.
I want a third to see this thing spread out. But budget-wise, you know, I can't see them
the virus spread
film.
to France, didn't it? At the end of the film?
Yeah, that's it. Which gives it the chance to head all over Europe, all over, you know, Asia. I think the safest place you'd ever be is Australia, but, you know, even then.
Dave, your favourite trilogy, your worst trilogy, and film series you'd love to be a trilogy?
For best, it's kind of a draw between Paradise Lost, an amazing trilogy of documentaries about the West Memphis Three, or Infernal Affairs, which is an amazing trilogy from Hong Kong by Andy Lau. It will sort of get squished together and released as The Departed, where they just fill it with American actors and swear words.
Yeah, Departed's pretty awesome though.
But it's a strong series. Like, it's something you think, why haven't they done that before as a story? And it's just acted so superbly, and I just love those films. I can always watch each and every one. They all add something different, even though it's the same characters, like from one story, a prequel, and then what happens to them in the end.
Yeah.
I'm just racking my brain for bad trilogies.
You just said like 10 of them. Turtles.
But
It's the worst. Well, I mean, it's in your opinion.
that's what I mean. It's like most trilogies have something redeeming in them that I wouldn't just write it off.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, the Terminator, as the first 3 films, that third film just is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to the hand.
Just falls off
I love
a
the
cliff.
action scenes in Terminator 3. That's about it.
It's like RoboCop. I love
the
the
third
first
movie.
2, and that third one was so awful.
When he's driving that fucking pimp car. That's... Oh, God, it makes me want to vomit.
I love the original Superman films. And, that third film, just with the fighting the computer, the AI.
That thing at the
Richard
end
Pryor.
gave me nightmares for years. That woman that came out of the machine. Was like,
Yeah, that actually scared the shit out of me.
I suppose X-Men as well.
Yeah, The Last Stand, even though there's the new series of X-Men films.
Yeah, and the first film doesn't hold up. Effects-wise, it's kind of ropey and hard to watch. But that second film is pretty good.
Yeah. So, which film series, Dave, would you like to see continued as a third film to complete a trilogy?
I don't know. This one's a hard one.
I think most people are kind of happy with the films they are. Like, don't make that third film. You'll kill it. You'll end it. It must be terrible.
I'll go for a strange one and an old Chinese film called Fong Sayuk. They had 2 parts with Jet Li, and they are 2 of my favourite films of all time. And if they just don't make films like that anymore.
They don't.
The Wire Fu, where they ended up, when they did use Wire Fu, they would speed it up, or they would just look so stupid.
Kind of like Crouch Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
No, that was more sweeping, but it was like, they would just like bounce off the screen or like bounce back and forth really fast, and it would just look so dopey.
Is it Fong Sayuk or Once Upon a Time in China with the ladder fight sequence?
That's Once Upon a Time in China.
See, that fight sequence is fucking amazing.
Yeah, and that's another trilogy that sort of the first one was epic and memorable, and then they sort of lost the plot.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of got to tie up as my favourite trilogies is the Evil Dead trilogy. I know.
I'm not even going to get into the argument with you, but
one's
the Evil Dead
remake,
trilogy is
the second
amazing.
one is a remake. It doesn't
Evil
matter.
Dead
There's
trilogy
3
is
separate
amazing.
movies. It's a trilogy.
Yeah.
See, I mean, if it wasn't for a lot of behind the scenes rights and stuff, I think they would
be a
congeal
workable
together.
trilogy.
a lot better. So.
There's people out there that have edited and spliced the first, second, and third film together, just clipping off the end and beginnings where they didn't have the copyright to make it. But it's a trilogy that I love watching through.
Yeah.
It's a trilogy that I love watching through just with Bruce's commentary.
Oh yeah.
It's a trilogy I'll watch through with Sam Raimi's commentary. It's just amazing. It's the original Star Wars trilogy.
Is the weakest?
No, it's my favourite still.
Oh right, yeah, okay,
It still stands up, and there's a rumor going out that later this year the unaltered original releases of Star Wars might be coming out this year, which is amazing. That's amazing.
No, it's not. When you watch Empire Strikes Back and you see those snowspeeders fly down and you can see the legs of the walkers through the cockpit, there's a reason why they went back and digitally remastered it.
I want to see the film the way I remember it from my childhood, and if it looks ropey around the edges, I don't care. That's what I want to see.
Okay.
And I think the original Star Wars trilogy will stand up still.
Okay.
And of course, there's one other trilogy that I've not really mentioned, but I just want to bring it up quickly now. It's the Godfather trilogy.
Yeah.
It's usually considered one of the best trilogies ever, except
third
again
one.
for the third movie.
One, yeah.
So for worst trilogies,
Carol Ann.
the Scream the Scream franchise.
Yeah,
I know there's
there's
4
four,
now.
Gary.
Well, there was the third movie that makes it the trilogy, that made it a trilogy, which killed that franchise.
Which killed it again, yeah.
Alien 3 for a lot of people killed the Alien franchise, but
wrong.
I still
They're
only...
wrong.
yeah. The Matrix, as I mentioned. Jaws 3 was another film that just killed a franchise.
You're losing the whole prospect of this trilogy thing here with far too many series.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's because they were trilogies. I always remember them as trilogies.
I'm waiting for him to go, you know what? Star Trek trilogy. It'd be like, hang on a minute.
Well, there is 3 films in the new series, isn't
Yes,
there?
that is a good point. That is a good point, yeah.
But there's a list of films that I would like to see a third film to.
Yeah.
There's films I'd like to see a second film to. Serenity.
Yes, Serenity.
But I always wanted Hellboy 3. I always wanted Ghostbusters 3. I actually wanted a Gremlins 3.
Yeah, Gremlins 3 I could see.
As you mentioned earlier, 28 months later.
Yeah.
I wanted a Kill Bill 3. You know, Tarantino has talked about Kill Bill 3 and 4. And he mentioned how he wanted the girl whose mother he assassinated in the first Kill Bill was going to come back, same actress years later.
Yeah, but that doesn't work because she killed Bill in the second one. So, so unless they bring back another character called Bill in Kill Bill 3, you got a title for a movie that makes no sense. Unless you call it Kill Beatrice.
Or Killed Bill.
Killed Bill, yeah. And one other film series that I'd quite like to see a third film too is Bill and Ted.
Oh, yes. But there's rumours in the works that they're doing
for years that. There has been, whether it'll actually materialise or not, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be nice too.
One last trilogy I just wanted to pop in at the end is the Naked Gun trilogy.
Yes, I actually have it. I actually had it written down. Never got to bring it up. But in terms of comedy, consistent. It doesn't matter which one of those you watch on any given day.
It'll still make you laugh.
Oh, I fucking piss myself every time when you see a Naked Gun when they're about to have sex and they get the giant condoms on.
Yeah, safe sex. All right, everyone, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back to answer your questions. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to the questions section of the podcast. And we'll start with a question. Well, it's more of a request, actually.
Okay.
Usually just going to stick to questions. We'll read this one now. We'll just give quick responses to it now. It's from Joe Makowski.
Hey, Joe.
Who says, I have requests for you two awesome guys.
Yep.
1, the Transformers movies. That's not one request, is it? That's like 4 going on 5 requests.
Going on 5 movies, yeah.
Well, you might just be talking about the first one.
He says Transformers.
Yeah, movies. Yeah.
Movies.
God help us. You know, I kicked up such a fucking fuss when that first Transformers film came out. I watched it. I got a dodgy copy.
Okay,
of it,
yeah.
And I watched it in slightly inferior quality.
Right.
I was funding terrorism, obviously. and I hated it. I was like, great, now I know I do not need to pay to go to the cinema and watch this mess.
Yes.
And then Ian, you were like, oh, come on, Gary, it's not going to be that bad. It's fucking Optimus Prime and the Autobots. Fuck it, Gary, I'll pay for your cinema ticket. You're coming with me to watch it.
Yeah.
And I sat there, and that was the first time I ever hated being in the cinema. Was watching Transformers, the movie. And that was before I'd ever had the goal to walk out of a cinema.
Why?
Because it was awful.
Giant robots.
It was... Yeah, the giant robots were awful, sneaking around a garden. I was I just couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Some people
Gary,
are dead inside.
This dodgy copy you
Yes.
got, was it filming of the cinema screen?
Maybe.
Could you see shadows leaving the cinema watching this film?
No,
he didn't like it. He didn't like it.
I wish there had been. I mean, I wanted to walk out of it, but since then I've seen Transformers 1 about 6 times.
Yeah.
I've seen the second one once, the third one once, and the fourth one once. And you know what? I'm like, you know what? It was. You saw my reactions to the Fast and Furious movies. I hated them.
Yes. Yeah.
But and then after a while, I was like,
giant robots.
It was the same with the Resident Evil movies. I was like, this is cinematic drivel.
Again,
like
with
this
the
is
Resident
money.
Evil movies.
This is just money just being blasted into just trite. And you know, and then after time, I just went, okay, like, I can't beat them. So I kind of joined them.
Yeah.
And I kind of just decided I enjoy these Transformer movies. I'm just like, they're awful, but I can just enjoy switching my brain off and watching them. I conceded. I gave up. I can't hate them anymore. I've run out of energy on hating
on
them.
The tin. They are Transformers. They are giant robots. People bring up the Shia LaBeouf shit, the fucking Mark Wahlberg shit. All the love story triangles and weird shit going on. You're there for the robots, really. The special effects, the big explosions.
The racist robots. The robots with fucking
the killing
balls.
robots, the robots that rip each other's hearts out. You got that girl in the second one, the blonde.
When Leonard Nimoy lent his voice to a robot, I died inside.
Why?
Especially when he delivers lines that you recognise from Star Trek, He's just like,
it's a giant fucking robot.
No, got a transformer here.
Oh God! Okay. So Joe also asked us about doing Gremlins 2. He wants us to do the rest of the Terminator movies, and I've been thinking about putting Judgment Day on that list soon, Ian. It's time. I'm in the mood to actually watch Terminator 2
What's the date for Judgment Day?
I think it passed a while ago, but Judgment Day kept changing throughout the Sarah Connor Chronicles, throughout the later movies.
It's on June 20. Is it June 24th?
Maybe.
It's June 24th at like 6 or 7 a.m., something like that. We will try to aim Terminator 2 Judgment Day
for June.
For this year's Judgment Day.
Okay. We've also been asked to do the rest of the Jurassic Park movies, because again, we only did the first one.
Giant dinosaurs. Dinosaurs.
Yeah. And we've also been asked to do all the Tremors movies, including the next one that's in production right now.
Well...
Now, we said... We wanted to do Tremors ages ago. You actually kept saying to me, Gareth, when are we doing Tremors?
Yes.
And I said to you, after the difficulties we had with Jurassic Park... And I've actually, I think it was U571.
Yes.
And there was a couple of
they're owned by Universal.
All Universal movies. And they give us the hardest time next to 20th Century Fox when it comes to their films, which is why we haven't necessarily done Jurassic Park sequels or done the Tremors movies yet.
Yeah.
We'll work on it, but we just know that the clip length's going to be a pain. It's going to go under lots of re-edits.
We like to emphasise what we're saying with the clips from the movie. It helps to obviously deliver the message to the viewer. When you talk for 5-10 I can rabble 5-10 minutes about a singular scene and talk about the intricacies and interactions between the characters, and then we show you 5 seconds of it. Does that work for you? Because for me, I when I edit these films, I try to give you as much as I can, and then Universal or Fox or Miramax or fucking Metro Goldwyn and all of the Film 4, BBC, all of them, they come along and go, nope, that clip's too long. Cut it. And it's really difficult. So the Tremors series,
I'd love to watch them all over again. Yeah.
If we'd have to do one at a time.
Yeah.
We
still haven't yet decided what our horror series of films reviews are going to be for this October yet. We've got our selections, but we still keep changing them. So you never know. Never know.
Yes, but I really don't want to go for another 9 levels of hell, Gareth.
Have you done House yet?
No,
we
we've
haven't
talked
done
about
House.
House quite a few times. There's like the 4 House movies. Yeah.
We haven't done.
And then you have the Japanese. Was it the House?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the Japanese one.
Yeah.
The Japanese one.
Okay, next question. This is from the Coremaster 98.
Hey, Coremaster.
Writing in again, and he says, "You guys are from Devon?
Yes.
Awesome. So am I. But I do have 2 questions for you guys. Ian,
Yes.
who is your favourite and least favourite wrestler? Doesn't say of all time or relevant today, so I guess just...
See, I saw this question on there,
It's Roman Reigns.
and I spent ages mulling it over in my head. And I watched the network. I'm a fanatic WWE Network subscriber. I have access to it all except Raw, because it's shown on an American channel, and they aren't allowed, contractually, they're not allowed to show it on their network.
I thought it was just going to be delayed, like maybe a year or so out.
Well, it is delayed, and I hate
it is
that,
useless.
because I've just read last night's Raw results, and then I go onto the network and I see last 2 months Raw, and I'm like, fuck that, I can watch SmackDown on it. So I look at the results just online forums. My favourite wrestler of all time, at this age, I don't think I have one. If you'd asked me 20 years ago, it'd have been easy. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, The Rock, Triple H, Kane, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Blue Meanie. Now I'm older and I've looked into the background of it all, and the stories behind all the people, the years that wrestling has been around, from greats like Bruno Sammartino, and to Terry Funk, Mick Foley, Paul Levesque. The names just go on all the way up to nowadays with like Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor. They're all just amazing. So I cannot actually say I have a favourite wrestler. They all stand up there on a pedestal.
Who do you enjoy watching the most nowadays, though?
It depends on what match. I could say to you John Cena. I could say John Cena to you, and some people, they roll their eyebrows, or they grit their teeth, or they shake their head, because he's had some amazing matches. Feuds against Randy Orton and Triple H and John Bradshaw Layfield. Okay, brilliant. Look at Jeff Hardy. Some of his later matches in TNA, not so great. His new character where he's crazy like his brother.
Matt Hardy, yeah.
You go back to TLC 1 and 2. Oh, amazing. Then you jump from there to Edge and Christian, people they work with, the Dudley Boys, the list goes on and on.
So who's your least favourite?
With my least favourite is the one I don't like to watch so much. If I see them in a match, I'm like, oh, it's going to be weak. One of those names is X-Pac. When I see X-Pac, knowing the background of Sean Waltman, knowing his background story, he starts off as the 1-2-3 kid, beats Razor Ramon. They leave to WCW. All of a sudden, he's injured, I believe. He then transfers to WCW, becomes part of the NWO. Why? Not because he's good in the match, but because he's friends with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. He rides this journey through WCW for a while, gets injured, I believe, again. All of a sudden, he's back on Raw. Where? DX, friends of Triple H. And there was never a time where, maybe when he was working with Kane in a tag team, that X-Pac was an actual good wrestler to be in a tag team. But then he turns on Kane. And then there's that whole stuff later on with China.
Yeah.
Not going too deep into that, but it freaks me out.
Say again?
Not getting too deep into it, no pun intended. It freaks me out when I go back and when I watch old episodes of Raw.
Okay.
And him and Triple H are in the ring. They're doing the whole DX thing. There's China in the background. And he's kind of stood next to her and I'm thinking, I know how this ends. This doesn't end well. Oh, but yeah, some of the worst ones of X-Pac, like I said.
What about currently?
Currently, anything to do with the Fashion Police. With Breezango.
What are your thoughts on Roman Reigns?
I like Roman Reigns.
Oh, I cannot stand Roman
Why
Reigns.
can you stand him?
Because he comes out, he does some clotheslines and some punches.
Yep.
He then does this pathetic Superman punch.
Okay, the Superman punch is weak.
And then he does the spear. Or he might do a Samoan drop every now and then.
The Samoan drop, the spear is his move.
But he doesn't do any other moves. He doesn't do any moves during the match. He's just punch, clothesline punch.
He doesn't. It depends on who he's working with. He's got to be put in that position where he can do that kind of stuff. You put him up against Chris Jericho, he's going to have a good match. Why? Because Chris Jericho is a goddamn good worker, and he makes taking a spear look good.
I know.
Roman Reigns pulling it off is no really different than Edge doing it. I'll admit, yes, Roman Reigns' character storyline, not brilliant. They let him win the Rumble, then they give him the title, then they take it away, and then he does it again. He's now a mid-carder with the US title. Good. That's where Roman Reigns should be. Now you can concentrate on bigger, better people like Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is phenomenal on the mic. He's phenomenal in the ring. And he can beat Roman Reigns.
I thought he was going to say the bedroom.
Okay, so the next question is for me, and it is Lara Croft or Ellen Ripley.
Who's it from? Who's the question
Callmaster still.
Oh, Callmaster. Oh.
Asking me, Gary, Lara Croft or Ellen Ripley?
Oh, I know
now
that.
I'm like,
I know that.
Well, what is he based on? What, the films?
The
or
films,
just the characters in
characters,
pop
or...
culture?
Which one would I like to go to dinner with?
Well, up to you. Ellen Ripley
Which
or
one would I
Lara Croft?
rather be stuck in a situation with?
Depends
Who can
on the
handle themselves
situation.
better? You know, I got to say, I think Lara Croft has probably got the edge on Ripley.
Really?
Now, only because Lara Croft has gone up against fucking giant tigers, fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah.
She's gone up against, she's been in many gunfights. Ripley, she's not a big fan of guns.
No, true.
She doesn't want to rely on guns, but she relies on her cunning and her abilities, and she's the everyday woman who becomes the hero. Whereas Lara was always, gifted and talented
she has
and
always
had
been.
everything.
Yeah,
rich.
she's always been.
She was rich.
A badass since a child.
Filthy rich. I don't know. They're both great characters. I never really grew attached to Lara Croft in the old games.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed the
triangles.
I enjoyed the pixels and the adventure. I enjoyed the adventure game. For me, it was like, female Indiana Jones with triangle chest, But I really, really enjoyed the latest Lara Croft games, Tomb Raider games.
It's because they smoothed it all out, didn't they, Gary?
They did, yeah. She looked gorgeous in that
She
game.
did.
But so did everything in it. It was so good to look at, and the gameplay was so smooth. The cinematics were great. Everything was great. That game made me feel ill looking at heights.
Yeah.
And could never do those things. But in the end, I'd still have to pick Ellen Ripley.
Okay, breaking it
She's a
down.
cat lady.
She's a cat lady
Yeah.
too,
Cat lady.
by me. Yeah.
Breaking it down easier. Angelina Jolie, Lara Croft,
No.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
Really?
That's just easy. That's just easy.
Yeah.
I was more a fan of Chris Barry in that film. Rather
Dave,
Dave
who
Rimmer.
would you choose? Lara Croft, Ellen Ripley.
Ripley easily.
Ripley, yeah.
Yeah.
Ripley. So Ripley's all across there.
It's Ripley, but yeah, it is there are 2 points.
Who
about
would
Lara
win
Croft.
in a fight? A fist fight.
Well, between Lara Croft and Ellen Ripley?
Yeah.
A fist fight?
Yeah.
Lara Croft, martial arts
Yeah.
trained.
Yeah.
I mean, Ripley could handle herself. There'd be a lot of slugging, you know.
Yeah.
But in the end, Lara Croft, some kind of cartwheel, somersault, 2-legged
Yeah.
drop kick, and
Neck
then
breaking,
twist.
ankle
That'd be
twist.
it.
Yeah.
Or, Ripley could, pull out an artifact from back pocket, like, ooh, look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, it'd be a face hugger. It'd be a face hugger. She'd just throw it.
I'm just thinking
And
of a
then just right there
distraction.
with a
but-
flamethrower, wait for the chest burst. Yeah. And Coremaster finishes off by saying, please know that if I could support you on Patreon, I would. That way you could review a film that I find interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sign up. Will McGill asks, have
Hey, Will.
any of us seen Stranger Things?
Yes.
I think I mentioned it on one of the previous podcasts.
Yeah. I
I'd
still haven't
watched it.
watched. I still haven't watched it yet. It's
Yeah.
on season 2 now.
Season 2 is due out later this year. And they've promised that they're not going to outstay its welcome. Because everyone, including me, was like, look, Stranger Things was perfectly self-contained.
Yes.
It worked.
Yeah.
Dragging it into a second season seems pointless. Like, just go do something else. Like, don't
just-
break it. Just
or
leave
just-
it.
Like, True Detective, just, alright, do it better than
Yeah,
True Detective, but it's just...
American Horror Story,
Yeah.
be an anthology show and do Stranger Things somewhere else with another cast.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
strange
But-
story, yeah.
Stranger Things was amazing for me because it hit me with all of the nostalgia
Yeah.
that I remember. They they referenced all these great films. It had some great actors. The child actors were all great. And the only thing that lacked in it was the budget on the monster at the end. But
Do you think that was intentional?
no, I think
Did
I
it
think
keep
that
in touch with the kind of 80s nostalgic throwback?
maybe if you want to look at it that way, I just
I
think
haven't even
I think
seen
it
it,
could
I'm
have
just
looked a
skipping
little bit
over
better.
it.
But it was so good, and I am excited for Stranger Things too.
Nice.
Matthias asks, I do have another question. I loved hearing you guys talk about your initial reaction when you found out you had to review Curse of the Queerwolf, and the reaction of Gary when Ian decided to review Dirty Dancing.
Hey, Matthias.
I was wondering about some other initial reactions to perhaps Patreon requests or other films you have for some reason decided to review, and also, do you ever watch movies together for a review? I can answer that last bit now and say the last 2 films we watched together
Yeah.
to review, because we reviewed them on the same day, was the very last 2 Hellraiser movies, Deader and what was the last one?
Revelations.
Revelations. We watched those two together on the last day.
You had to help each other.
We had to help each other get through it at the end. We had
support each other.
Yeah. So, but other than that, no, we never watch.
We haven't
not since the very first 6 episodes of before we even called ourselves Off the Shelf Reviews. We watched the films together and then
we did.
That's
where the basic idea came from. I was coming over on a Saturday to hang out, and we'd sit there and Gary would be like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" "Oh, we'll just sit here and chat for a bit." Then the film goes on and we just started watching the film, and then, hey, we'll get a camera, we'll just start recording and start talking about what we've just watched. It gets to nowadays and we are so busy. It's just like, when did you watch it? I watched it last night before I recorded it. I've watched it 2 days before. My notes are, all over the place. I remember we watched the Phantasm series together, recording at the same time. Yeah. That was weird, but still it was highly enjoyable sitting there and watching the film together. So I'd like to do that again.
Yeah.
Would you find yourself influencing each other's opinions if you watched it together? Like, if you're like, man, this is bad, but someone's like, oh, like
Gary totally influences me.
Yeah, I've noticed I've done it a couple of times.
This is the way.
This film is bad.
It does make me laugh sometimes when I'm editing a review and Ian is saying some things about the film and then 20 minutes into the review Ian's then saying the positive things about the film where he had just said they were bad things earlier in the review.
Give me an example.
I can't give you an example right now.
Because it doesn't exist.
It doesn't. No, you know why?
Why?
Because I edited you. I edited you because you were like, "Oh, Gary, I was really worried about some of the things I said in that video," and I was like, "Yeah, don't worry, I actually cut all of that." These were the early videos that we did.
Yeah. And
then people kind of got used to us, and then people liked the longer video format. Yeah. And so a lot of that stuff we kind of kept in, but I'd say I don't influence you that much anymore. Because you will stand your ground in your venom of hatred for a film. I have
to after Halloween 4.
And you continue to bring it up again and again and again. You have no people listening. You have no idea how many times I've edited Ian out saying I'd rather watch Halloween 4 or I'd rather be watching Tekken 2. I keep editing it out, and then after a while I just keep it in now.
They are bad.
It's a running joke.
It is a running joke.
He's consistent.
Yeah.
Films that people have given us as requests. See, now that's difficult because we either get a really good request or one that we don't know, but when we look at it, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can tell you the last time I panicked on a Patreon request was City of God. I don't know if you could tell in that video, if you watch it, how nervous I am that entire time. It was such an eye-opening film based on so many real events that and I know how influential that film was as well, and I just didn't want to fuck it up. I just really wanted to get it right. Small spoiler for you guys listening to the podcast, the review hasn't gone up yet, but I also felt that same thing again another Patreon request when we were asked to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, really? That one?
That one threw me off as well. So much so, it's going to be the reason why that review is over an hour long. And I'm in the middle of editing it down still. Because there was so much to talk about. I spent the whole day reading about Tobe Hooper, the cameraman, the actors, the documentaries on what happened with the film, the licensing, the sequels. And it's just sometimes it just feels like a monumental project. And then sometimes you get a request to do In the Mouth of Madness, and I'm like, fucking easy, cakewalk it. I could watch that film, and I've watched that film so many times. I know the script, and so sometimes it's amazing. I know there's another request just come in, and we've actually pushed it back just a little bit, until we get to it. I won't say what it is. All I will say is see if any of you guys can figure out what it is. But it's a near 3-hour-long movie, and it's 18th century based. Now I don't know how a lot of people are going to take take to watching that video.
That's cool.
But yeah, again, that same reaction I had to it. I was like, wow, we haven't ever discussed this director on the channel
we
yet.
haven't.
So again, I'm also feeling just quite lately. I've been going. I panic just a little bit to some of these reviews.
Okay.
But if I get another request like Curse of the Queer Wolf, I know it's going to be fine. I know now it's going to be fine.
We got a request in which was so bad, it took a while to get through. I can't say it because I don't feel it's up yet.
No
spoilers.
No.
But personally, when you give me a film which I feel bad for before we've even watched, you'll feel it over camera. I will say if one film now that if I ever get a request for it, I am not responsible for my actions. and that is a Serbian film.
Yes.
If anybody ever makes me sit down and watch that film, I'm not responsible for what happens next.
But surely it's like good or bad is great. It's the mediocre film that must be the worst. Something that there's
not a mediocre film.
There's been a couple like Posse. You know, I was like, I tried to highlight the good things, and then there were so many bad things, and then it just ended up being pretty mediocre throughout.
Like films you've finished, you're just like,
Mario Van Peebles is pretty badass in Posse.
I have worried that a couple of times with a couple of films. I'm like, this film is just distinct. I mean, there's a review that's probably going up.
No more spoilers. No,
it's gone up. It would have gone up this week beforehand. Heartless. Now, that was a Patreon request, and I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
And I'd shown it to Ian. I was like, he's requesting. Ian was like, oh, I know this. I know the director. I wanted to do one of his other films. And I was just like, from all the reviews of this film, they're all like 5s out of 10, like 50%. You know, it's just like, this film is pretty average by ratings. People either love it or hate it, and so the ratings are kind of in the middle. But again, we discovered an interesting film within it.
Well, Heartless.
Yeah. Well, I know. Well,
no, I don't think I know. No. I'm listening to you there, and that review. No. Well, next question.
next question comes in from Seamus Hobo. Second time writing.
Hey, Seamus.
He says, thanks for answering my question, lads. I love sequels, particularly horrors. Okay. And it's fun seeing how ridiculous they can get the more movies they release.
Yeah.
My question is there a series of films or a sequel in particular that you think had a lot of potential but fell flat on its arse? For me, it's the Highlander series of films. It could have been great if it was given the right direction. Which is true, because Highlander 2 really just killed it, and Highlander 3...
Yeah, that's why the Highlander stands alone on its own.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been talking about it. For you, it would be the Back to the Future trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, the second one was really good, but the third one
just doesn't fall flat on its arse. You know.
No.
But it's still average. It's not a disaster.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, bad sequels. I can't.
Well, like I said earlier,
I'm trying to think of one. There's probably one. Somebody's probably going to write it down and be like, Ian, don't forget that. Yeah. The Tekken 2. Was that a series that fell flat on its ass? More Combat, Annihilation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The first one was really good.
Yeah.
Halloween, first and
Poltergeist
second
3 again, that destroyed that trilogy and just sullied it so horribly.
Especially in horror movies, the second one just ups the ante, but everything after that is just absolutely the same.
Alien 3, really slapped it. It knocked the Alien franchise for 6 when it came out.
Yeah.
Terminator 3, it sold well enough, but
Terminator
the fans
again.
were just like, where did Cameron go? Where's James Cameron?
He's under the ocean with the Titanic.
What do we reckon the Avatar films are going to be like?
I like Avatar.
I don't.
You don't like Avatar? Why? Why don't you like Avatar?
I felt I had seen this story before.
Well, Forrest Gump, Pocahontas,
Aliens.
Yeah, I mean...
But, come on.
I mean, as a piece of film, the technology, very impressive, but I just left it feeling like, meh. I didn't like the main guy. I thought he was a
Wasn't he
pretty-
in Salvation? Terminator?
Yeah, I don't think he's a very good actor, and he was just...
For me, you know what? I'm going to say it's Resident Evil. I'm talking about it again.
Yeah, he's got an
It
addiction.
had... I mean, that fucking franchise fell flat on its arse. With the film series doesn't even keep up with its own fucking continuity, yet alone have any continuity within the game franchise.
The first one is good.
It just fell flat on its arse. The first one is acceptable.
The first one, yes, because it's so difficult to follow the story of the original game.
Yeah.
Because
the first one is easy to follow.
No,
The
it's
first game
not.
is so easy to follow.
You have to pick either Chris or Jill.
Yeah.
You cannot have both on the screen. So who do you go with as your main character?
Well, it doesn't matter who you choose. Whichever you choose, the other one is incarcerated from the beginning.
So which one do you choose?
Well, it doesn't
Because
matter.
I would personally go
for a
with,
film?
I would personally, for a film, I would personally go with Jill.
Yeah, because of Barry.
Yeah.
He's got more...
It's got more depth.
It's better
It's
than
got more
Chris and
depth.
Rebecca.
So that's what they did. They gave you Alice and just gave you a storyline that you didn't know what was going on. Because if you went with Jill, you would get the lockpick, unlock any doors, come across the snake, go outside into the garden, come across hunters.
The film franchise had potential. It had potential.
Yes, and look,
it was a disaster, and now it is over.
It's
Over.
It's 7 movies of just mindless fun. Just like Transformers.
Silent Hill, the movie.
I need to see the second one, guys.
The second
Why haven't
one,
I seen the second one?
Revelations, I think it was, or my
Sean Bean
God, it was just fucking kill me. Kill me, it was
I have
so
to watch it
fucking
now.
bad.
I have to watch it now.
I hated it. I mean, the first time Silent Hill came out, I walked out of the cinema going, you know what, I'm going to go play the games again.
Yeah.
Because I walked out of the cinema going, I enjoyed that. That reminded me of all the things from the game. And then I played the game, and then I watched the film again, and then I was just like, oh, fuck you, filmmakers. You have no idea what you're fucking talking about.
Really?
Did you not pay attention to all of this that was in the game? Why did you not just borrow that story and retell it in film form?
Same reason.
It could have worked. You had Sean Bean, who would have been a great father for the daughter, but they chose the mother.
And then he would have come across a cop
and
in
then,
a
but
diner
then
the
sequel just killed Silent Hill film franchise altogether. It's never
go back and play the first game. It's good, but it's not as good as Resident Evil. And that's how I see the films. So I haven't seen the second one. Why haven't I seen Silent Hill Revelation?
Because I've spared you, Ian. You've spared not having to see it.
You're afraid I'm going to like it. You're afraid I'm going to like it.
If you're going to like it, I'm just going to tell everyone to hate you forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Because there's no way anyone can like that film.
Bring it on.
There's no way. Like, there's just no way. Please tell me. Anyone out there. Just don't tell me you like this film.
Oh, I got through 10 minutes of it.
What, really?
And then I turned it off.
I feel slightly safer already. Okay, on to the tweets.
Yep.
Leroy has asked, and he's kind of laughing as he asks this.
Hey, Leroy.
When are you going to review Monolith's Alien vs. Predator 2?
That game is unworkable.
Well, no, it is workable. People have got it working.
Yeah.
But just me and Jeff can't get it working.
Yeah.
We spent hours trying to get that game to work, and we got it to work once.
Okay.
It loaded up. We chose the Marine campaign, and I was like, oh, this is excellent. This is excellent. Jeff, Alt-Tab out, hit the record button. We record now while it's running.
Yeah.
He Alt-Tabbed out, hit the record button, tab back, and the game gone. And we tried to load up the game again, and it was like, please insert the CD. Da-da-da-da-da. Error message this, and it just wouldn't start again. And we tried restarting the computer.
Somebody's messaged us with like a way past all that, but you tried that. I think
we already did try that. Yeah. We've looked online. We've been on so many different forums, from the more recent ones, including old ones, to try and find ways and methods that people have posted step by step to get that game to run. And like I said, we got it to run once, but then we couldn't capture it.
You can't buy it off of Steam either. You can buy the first one.
No, you can't.
Is it on Good Old Games?
It's not on Good Old Games. It might have been somewhere, but it's a relic of a game, just like Monolith Studios, really.
But like I said, Steam released the first one.
It's different owners, I think.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. And the second one is so good. Because
Rebellion ended up with the rights, and now... Anyway, so yeah, we might one day.
One day.
We'll try again. We'll try again. Poke asks...
Hey, Poke.
Remember, these are Twitter names.
Okay.
He asks, why are you so cool?
I one day just became awesome. It was a lot of work, I had to go through a lot of shit as a kid, but then one day I just kind of woke up, looked myself in the mirror, and was like, yeah.
Nah,
And that was it. Ever since then, I've just been this cool.
nah. The truth is editing. I think I've seen what they do here. It's editing. That's how.
You just try to avoid doing bad shit. I'm a big believer in karma.
Yeah, me too.
A big believer in karma that if I piss you off, something bad's gonna happen to me. So I should just avoid upsetting people. I should avoid shooting, killing, raping, murdering, pillaging. Just doing all the nasty stuff that you're not supposed to do, and it kind of stops you from being an asshole. So when you stop being an asshole, you start actually being quite cool.
But it is the reason that once a month you do get hit on the head by a falling copy of World War Z. That's karma.
No. Every now and again, I take a copy of World War Z.
I'm going to give the internet Ian's address, and they're all going to send him their copies of World War Z.
And if
there's going to be like a wall of DVDs of World War Z.
And if you do, I will build a Brad Pitt effigy and burn that motherfucker to the ground.
And then they'll send in plenty of Dead Rising, Tekken copies. Follow that one up.
So Will McGill is tweeted at us as well as so the second question is, what YouTube channels do you watch, and what podcasts do you listen to?
The only two channels that I watch is Dorkly and Death Battle on Screw Attack.
On Screw Attack, yeah.
I don't listen to podcasts. I don't have the time. Because I'm too busy editing ours. At the same time, if you look at our Facebook page, I'm just always watching a film. Or I'm on the Xbox.
You're not much of a YouTuber browser.
Why? It's so contradictory because
you are one of those videos.
Yeah. How can people sit there for 4 hours? I see people twitching. Look how old I sound, twitching. And there's a guy sat there playing like a new game. Somehow he's got it day of release. It's fucking 70 quid, and he's playing it and he's talking about it, and people are watching that guy do it for hours, paying him. I'm like, how? Because we do it. And it's just so difficult. I look at the world and I'm just like, people don't have that money. Oh, look at this guy. People are just chucking money at him. Keep playing. Keep playing. And I'm like, I gotta go to work, you fuck.
Well, yeah. It's a revolution. The amount of people Twitch streaming and game streaming, it's more people are watching it now than they are watching other things. But I'm not a big Twitch stream watcher either. I like once, maybe a couple of months, I'll see previously recorded, which are part of Red Letter Media. Yeah, they Twitch stream games, and I like to watch them. They play a lot of PC games, a lot of interesting games. Of course, Red Letter Media. They're on YouTube, but I'm a huge Red Letter Media fan. I've watched all the Half in the Bags. I've watched all the Wheel of the Worsts. Yeah. Just all of their side shows. Their latest show where they're doing the Nerd Rage sort of podcast little snippets where they're just being really satirical and really over the top. Yeah. I also found them because of their Star Wars reviews. Yeah. Which were just magnificent in terms of opinion, style, editing. Just they're excellent at their craft. Just top of the game. So Red Letter Media is my number one. I check them. I check back there every other day to see if there's a new video. Podcasts, I used to listen to spill.com a lot. That was with Corey and Martin and co-host. They reviewed films. They also did podcasts. They also did massive 3-hour-long podcasts. They did one called The League of Gentlemen, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah. And they just talked about comic books and movies and TV shows. And they got pissed drunk while they were doing it. And they were just amazing. Just absolutely. And it was so sad. I was devastated when Spill.com got closed down. But thankfully, they've gone their separate ways. Corey now has Double Toasted, which I still follow. I was also a big fan of The Loading Bar, which was another part of Spill, which was they finally branched into gaming.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously when Spill closed down, they disappeared, and then they eventually formed Rage Select.
Oh.
Now, Rage Select, I do believe, is a link on the actual channel. I've had it there since the start, next to Red Letter Media, and I used to go there for all of my gaming podcasts and gaming videos. I've kind of slowed down going there over the last couple of years after Jeff's co-host left him.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, imagine if you and me split up, Ian, and one of us carried on doing the channel. That's what happened to Rage Select. And the viewer count plummeted, and he kept bringing in new co-hosts all the time.
Yeah.
And the relationship just wasn't there. And then you eventually got used to this other guy that was on there, and then he got married and had a kid. And then he was like, yeah, sorry, Jeff, I can't record this anymore with you.
Yeah.
And so he was cycling through co-hosts again, and he floundered. But, you know, the original member of the show, it was Jason, kept coming back for specials.
Nice.
And sort of you saw the audience flood right back again for that original chemistry. And so, but, you know, Rage Select is still going, and I still enjoy listening to Jeff and John now more than anyone on the channel, and so I'll listen to his podcast. Believe it or not, he was doing 2 to 3 hour podcasts for years, and now recently he's only doing 1 hour podcasts. He basically does what we do, but he cut out what we've been doing and playing and the news section.
Yeah, you gotta have that. You just gotta keep flowing.
But I'm still in flavour of the old Spill days when they had 3 hour podcasts where they got drunk and got wasted and talked shit.
Wait, what?
What?
No. That's not the situation we've been playing.
No.
You wanted to edit us down to like a minimum. And I've wanted to get drunk and shit through podcasts for ages. We're on number 3 and I'm still sober.
When we get better microphones, because right now this microphone detects, you know, the slightest sound, it detects the cat running around the room.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when we get better microphones, it cancels all the clinking in the glasses and it's just our voices.
Bullshit. Next one I'm drinking. Next one I'm having a beer.
That's for me. Because I sit at a desk for 7 hours a day keying, podcasts are the only thing that stops me putting a gun in my mouth and blowing my brains out. So I listen to tons. My fave has to be Tell 'em Steve Dave, which is a offshoot of Kevin Smith's Smodcast.
Yeah.
Brian Johnson, Walt Flanagan, and Impractical Jokers, Brian Quinn. They're great friends and just have a great rapport, and all they do is rag on each other all day in the most clever ways. I listen to Giant Bomb East. They're pretty good at doing the 3 hours of just mostly nonsense and banter.
I used to listen to Rooster Teeth. I did on and off over sort of the last 7-8 years, just on and off listen to their stuff, but not so much anymore.
You see, obviously all those guys are great, but you know, I'm pretty awesome. I think we established that. So
we know this, Ian.
So even though you can listen to all
there's
those
lots
guys,
of awesome
you should
people
totally
here.
come and listen to me. You should totally come and listen to us.
I still revisit the History Buffs on YouTube. He just did a fantastic video on Apollo 13. Who else do I visit? Grey Day Under A.
Yeah.
He does these very short animated sketches, just making us question ourselves in the most glorious way. He also makes very silly videos like spelling of English words. He's very, very humorous. If you've never heard of Grey Day Under A, check him out. He's very funny. Who else do I also check? I used to watch Spoonie, the Spoonie Experiment.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day, I used to like him. I still watch Angry Video Game Nerd. He just did 2 great episodes on the Power Rangers. Introductory noob guide to Power Rangers.
We should review his film.
The Angry Video Game Nerd, the movie.
Angry Video Game Nerd. It's a film. I think we should email him and ask him if we can do it. That would be the nicest thing. Because, who does his company? What company owns his film? Would we be able to get it past YouTube?
Maybe.
Would it be rude if we did? But that's what we should do.
I also have watched quite a lot of Oliver Harper's channel. He did a lot of retrospectives on movies.
Not as good as me.
He's kind of branched into commentaries quite a lot as well, and so I've really enjoyed. The most recent video of his I watched was his Screamers and Screamers 2 review. Really enjoyed those discussions. And he brought up a lot of things I didn't even know about those films. So he's great as well. I also watched a little bit of Decker Shadow. He's
I can see him in
the internet personality with the greatest hair. It would be me if I still had hair.
I didn't know. My hair's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
He does pull off a cool beard.
I enjoyed quite a few of his reviews. Some of the lesser known films, maybe. I enjoyed his Carnosaur reviews. He also reviewed all the Hellraiser movies.
I'm trying to just think though. You're listening to all this. When do you have time to edit?
When I listen to these guys
playing Dark Souls.
before I go to
You're playing
bed,
Xbox.
and when I'm playing Dark Souls.
Jesus, we have two totally different
Because
lives, dude.
when I'm
busting
gaming,
my ass.
when I'm gaming, I listen to these guys.
Yeah.
And and also when I'm going to bed. I know some people listen to us, and they go to sleep listening to us because we're really boring, or they like the sound of our voices.
It can be quite boring.
Yeah.
It can be quite boring.
Yeah, I really like the kind of funny guys on YouTube, and there's this one channel, it's like off the bookshelf reviews. They're really good. Yeah.
Rip off.
Yeah. I think it was with is it Jerry and Dion? Yeah, something like that.
All right. Our
last
last question, our final tweet is from Dominic Button, and he asks, "What made you start the channel in the first place?"
Hey Dominic, we were just watching films together.
Well, I think we might have mentioned it somewhere in the past, but when I was at uni, and I was doing the film segment of my final course.
Yep.
I did my dissertation on Grindhouse movies.
Yes.
Did a full exploration into Grindhouse, and came across one of the only successful female directors within the Grindhouse genre. And she made a lot of sexy exploitation films.
Yes.
She was there in the nudist, making the early nudist camp movies. And but she fascinated me because she walked out during all the sexy scenes.
Okay,
She refused to be in the bedroom because she was like, what goes on in there should be between a husband and a wife. And so, but she knew, she was smart to know that what went on in there when the cameras were rolling while she left and refused to direct those scenes because she didn't need to. She knew that was going to make her money. And so she was smart.
Are we talking about the same woman who did Agent 69,
47?
That was one of your first
Yeah,
videos.
no, not Agent 47.
Double Agent, was it?
Double Agent with the giant boobies.
With the giant boobs, yes. So she made those movies.
Catchy.
And I decided I was going to, as part of my course, was going to have some people, Ian and Sam and I think Jez and Dan, a couple of people that I brought in. I brought you in and made you watch these films and then set cameras up and made you talk about it.
Yeah.
And because I was fascinated to see what total strangers to this film how you would react to it. And that went into my dissertation and everything else.
Yeah,
I also used those videos that I edited together, and I also tried to film and edit those videos in the style of that director, which was Doris Wishman.
Yeah,
in the style of Grindhouse and in the style of her. And so it was just kind of an experiment, and those videos went up, and they were really big in Germany.
Yeah, because I remember
freaked
one day,
me out because after years of those videos being up,
yeah, we looked back and one of them had like 5,000 views, and we were like, what?
And I looked up the analytics, and 90% of those views were from Germany. And I was like, I guess the Germans, they love the big boobs.
They love the big boobs.
And so...
But I didn't understand what you were saying, but they love the big boobs.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that there was a review of this really freaking obscure film somewhere on YouTube.
And then the first movie you wanted to do was Cockneys versus Zombies.
Well, it was the
which
discussion...
completely threw me because...
The discussion came because we were like, well, we got all those views. Maybe we should do something.
Yeah, we should do a film. And we could have picked any film. We'd spent like fucking 20 odd years talking about films and all the different great movies out there, and you went Cockneys versus Zombies, and I was just like, what?
It's like Godfather 2.
What?
Cockney versus...
and we sat down just like with the Doris Wishman movies. We just sat down, watched it, and then put the camera on and just recorded ourselves. But people were complaining that people we knew were complaining that it just wasn't structured.
Yeah, in our early videos we hardly looked at the camera.
Yeah.
We didn't really make any notes per se. we were nervous as hell because there was lots of breaks and there's lots of us not knowing who to look at.
Yeah.
And whether to look at each other or to the camera. We didn't have an introduction. We didn't have an exit.
I got complained about because I was too loud and too forceful. When I was talking about the film, I was taking control of the review to express how I was feeling about the film. And I liked that. I swear, I go on, I talk about something that I feel closely about because I've had to sit through that experience. And people were like, no, you got to make more jokes about like this guy. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I'm not that guy. That guy's that guy. I'm me. You got to just accept me. But then we started dropping the guests. Or we didn't drop the guests. We just didn't have time to get people around.
Our filming schedule changed around our work schedule.
Yeah.
And that conflicted with a lot of our guests for the films.
Yeah, and you ended up moving.
Yeah.
Which was the transition. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed the transition from Fido to Warm Bodies, which looking back on, I'm still quite proud of. That we just came up with this idea of, okay, Gary's moving. We've gone over. We've seen this new place. Okay, we could record down there. What are we going to do about the show? And it was kind of the first conscious decision to go, right, okay, we're doing this film, this film, this film. We'll do Fido. We'll get Jeff to dress up as a zombie. We'll get some special effects in. And then we'll record it. Well, what film do you want to do next? And we were deciding Night of the Living Dead, any type of zombie movie. And we settled on Warm Bodies.
Well, it was appropriate because the real thing is we still might do this in the future, Ian.
Yeah.
I've had this idea since we started the channel.
Yeah.
And whether
I know this idea.
You know this idea. I'm going to tell everyone, and you can tell me whether the idea sucks or not. Maybe I just got really stoned and just thought maybe that this was a great idea. It was what I wanted to do. Yeah. I wanted our channel to be slightly thematic in the fact that I wanted the zombie outbreak to occur.
Yeah.
And just an example, like Red Letter Media have their setup where they're VCR repairmen.
Yes, yeah.
I was going to have the idea where you and me were in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, Shaun of the Dead style.
Yes.
And so we don't go outside anymore unless we have to.
Because
we've already watched all the films we've got in the house.
Yeah.
So we have to go raid the video stores or other people's houses to raid their shelves for films to bring back and record. And that's how we'd meet our guests out in the zombie-filled streets.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, hey, you seen this movie? Yeah, shit, want to talk about it? All right.
I've
got a tin of beans, and we'd come back and huddle down and board up the windows and watch these films while the zombie apocalypse was going on outside. And I had the idea that this would go on for months until eventually the apocalypse outside was restored, life went back to normal, but then we'd unfold into another apocalypse of something else, and we'd just keep going throughout the years into different scenarios.
See, we're so low budget.
We couldn't.
We're so low budget.
It was a pipe dream.
Our low budgetness works for us.
Yes.
We are able to come up with an idea that works really well, pull it off quite quickly, along with the recording, and edit it, and get it up. And I think that's what works for us. If we try to be thematic like Red Letter Media,
the reason why I wanted to do it is because I love editing these reviews.
Yes.
Because I love editing, and the reason why I love editing is because I love filmmaking.
Yes.
And I haven't really had my hand in filming anything other than our reviews for a while.
Yeah.
That's interesting at least.
Yeah.
And so it's great to edit them because that's how films put together. And so I liked it when we did skits.
Yes.
Because it meant we got to change the position of the camera, or we got to dabble in something else. And so I that's why I wanted to do all those extra bits, because I wanted us not to have jobs, and I wanted our jobs to go and be to film the skits and the extra content to go around the episodes.
You could do all that, but then you sit down and you play Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 all the way through.
And Mass Effect Andromeda is on the way out.
Gears of War 4. I'm just looking at the games in your room right now. Halo 5, and you got. Well, you got Buffy the Vampire Slayer down there.
Yeah,
You're playing.
Yeah, I'm still playing. I
just want to see the episode where it's just like, so you want to review this film? It goes like, well, my wife's just been eaten, and you want me to review Tekken? What the hell?
It'll make you feel better. This is worse than what just happened to you.
See, if we get the money in, we'll have zombies, demons, cyborgs, the fucking
It's only
works.
because we've got Tony of Smart FX who has guested on a couple of reviews.
Who's really good.
And who's really good at all the special effects. You saw his work in the Fido review and Mortal Kombat, yeah.
But it's expensive.
It is
You know how much
expensive.
the fucking blue screen goes nowadays? Blue, green, fucking black.
Prosthetics and
HD,
everything else.
3D.
Yeah.
You're going to want to be able to put us in IMAX next. How long is it until we have to go out
Well, I
and
had
do
that-
VR
I had that-
and people will be in the
We
review
had that
with
other
us?
idea where we were actually going to green screen us and the sofa and then put us in the reviews, put us in the films.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so we'd sort of be digitally put into the background of a famous scene, just sat there discussing the film.
A bit like I always like to think that we're a
Hard
bit
to do.
like Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Totally, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
we just watch them. We just watch them and we work with what we've got.
Yeah,
You know,
it works in our favour.
It works in our favour, makes us funny. You know, if we had £1,000, we'd spend that £1,000 really wisely on something really cool, so people go, "That was really good. Here's a bunch more money. Do something else." And I'd be like, "Gary, here's some money. You're Kevin Smith. I'm Jason Mewes. I'll be sat over here chilling out."
I
while you're
am
doing
not
your
going
thing.
to review an American Werewolf in London until we can have fun doing a werewolf transformation of our own. Not CGI. No, not CGI. I know that Tony Smart FX would be able to do something fun, and we would have fun filming it.
And after seeing Curse of the Quirrell, we can add some of that in.
Exactly. Oh my god. Okay, well that's the end of the questions.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got one question and it's just a simple one.
Okay,
which
Dave.
was,
Hey, Dave.
hey. It wasn't from me, it was actually asked to me, but what are your guys' go-to snacks and drinks at the cinema and watching a film at home?
I love in the cinema. I cannot help myself, but I pay it. But I want that giant hot dog,
Yeah.
ketchup and mustard. It's the only time I have mustard is at the cinema, and chili heat wave Doritos, and a liter of Coca-Cola. I am set.
A litre.
Yeah.
Man, I'd be dying after the first hour.
I'm just set up.
Oh, you don't get the bag of Doritos, do you?
Oh, I get
Not
the
the
big...
rustly,
Oh, yeah,
annoying
the
guy
big-
in the back of the sort of...
Yeah, that's me.
Chomp, chomp, chomp. Oh,
At the bottom of the straw. No, I'm one of those people in the cinema that's really conscious of how much sound I'm making.
Yeah.
And so if it's like a big action sequence, I'm like stuff my face with the crisps. And then I fucking hate those movies where it instantly goes quiet.
Yeah.
Because I'll be in the cinema and I've got a mouthful of Doritos and I'll just be like, and the cinema's deathly quiet and I've got like 8 Doritos stuck in my teeth and I'm just like, but I won't bite.
Yeah.
I'll be the one sat there
wait.
waiting, it all goes soggy in my mouth.
When the actors are talking, you start crunching, but you can't hear what they're saying. So
I try and mask it. I'm one of those. Yeah.
So do you sort of replicate the snacks when you're at home, or do you just...
No, at home it's M&Ms. I'll just sit there and eat a whole bag of M&Ms.
M&M peanuts?
M&M peanuts, M&M plain, Jaffa cakes.
See when we
I also like a fizzy Vimto as well.
A fizzy Vimto,
Nice.
that's very nice.
when I get the chance to go to our local cinema, I'm happy that they allow you to just take food in. I always go to our local View. I'm gonna get jumped now.
You're gonna go in with a McDonald's, a Burger King,
and because they just let you take stuff in. I know you can buy stuff, and if I'm taking Dylan, he's always got to have a box of popcorn. It's way too big, but
Yeah.
it's so funny just watching him. It is a waste of money, and the last time I really, really spent money at the cinema was Star Wars Rogue One.
Okay.
And I saw one of their special cups with the little guy on top, and I had to get a Darth Vader one. That cost me like 15 quid. I was like, what the fuck? I only spent like 20, 30 quid coming to see this goddamn film. I could just buy it on DVD. No, it's Star Wars. But I usually take in a bottle of San Miguel in a bag.
I've taken a
Couple of
6-pack
bags
of Budweisers into the cinema before.
I remember going to the cinema with you to see My Little Eye, and we had a bottle of wine in a bag that we were just passing up and down our aisle.
Oh my god, My Little Eye, yeah.
Oh,
That was the Big Brother horror movie,
Yeah, it
wasn't
was.
it?
Though I had to do that for my media courseware.
Yeah.
And what do you like to eat when you're looking at Wikipedia?
Anything, everything.
His
you know?
fingers.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm just like, usually when I'm looking at Wikipedia, I'm on the toilet. You know, I've got
They'll be
5.
not eating anything.
I've got 5-10 minutes. You know, I've got to get ready
Putting
to
it
go.
in as we're coming out.
I'm reading the reviews for the next film that we've got to do, or the next film I've just seen on TV. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but usually I'm in M Peanuts. Those are my go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Common snack.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in, Dave.
Thanks for
I
having.
hope you'll come back and join us again for a future podcast, or if we'll eventually get round to reviewing Battle Royale and get you in to review it.
I hope your fans will be kind. I mean, you do have the nicest YouTube commenters, although
They are.
you might
They
edit
really are
out
good.
the bad ones, but man, they're all nice. I've never been to a YouTube channel where everybody's just like, "Oh, great review," or "Oh, I liked your opinion," or "I don't agree with you, but this is my opinion, but good review."
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
such a
always
nice
said it.
community.
I've always said it. The assholes stay away. Just stay away. We want the cool people. You know, you're one of the cool people. You would, you know, hanging out and stuff. But some of them, like there was a weird religious one recently. I saw a weird religious.
It was on
comment.
our Angel Heart review.
Yeah, I didn't know if to
We're just asking for it there.
I didn't know if to
Yeah.
delete it or reply to it or anything.
Leave religious fanatics and their comments alone. Don't delete them. It might enrage them. Don't respond to them.
Yeah.
Just leave it there.
Yeah.
They've left their mark. You know, you can skim past it. You don't have to.
Humans are crazy.
You know, there's the great thing as well is you can just read those comments in the voice of any character that you want.
Yes.
And so I recently heard that somebody, who was it? Was it King of the Hill?
Yeah.
Read it in the voice of characters from King of the Hill, and
The murmurer guy.
yeah. And so the negative comments, read them in that voice, and you just it doesn't mean anything anymore.
What about the guy from the Fast Show? You know, I was very, very drunk.
Well, no, Gary always hears it in his favourite voice of Austin Powers.
yeah, and then I just laugh it off. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next month with another podcast.
Yes.
Don't know what the theme of that one's going to be yet. But of course, film reviews every Thursday. Gaming Fridays every Friday. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Patreon. And hopefully soon on iTunes.
Whoop, whoop. Peace out.
Thanks for listening, everyone. See you later.